We are live here tonight on American Zombie. I'm your host, Max Doubt. I'd like to say what's up to everyone in the chat, listening live. Maddie, good to see you all the way down and out the other side of reality, I suspect. Yes, this is Through the Looking Glass, Rabbit Hole Discussions. I have pinned the link to the top of the chat. I'll probably have a few things to say. See, I know it's Friday night. People might be busy. So maybe it'll go a half an hour, depending on who comes on. But I did have a few things with the rabbit hole to discuss. That's why I call it rabbit hole discussions. Sometimes we have the survivors roundtable as well. But the rabbit hole, as we see, goes in many different directions. I've noticed that there are many things happening in the areas of immigration, surveillance. Electronic surveillance is just off the handle when we think about it. I mean, it's it's so intrusive that people look at it as a normally occurring thing right now. We carry around our surveillance device, and it basically can read our minds. I mean, do you really think they're going to tell us when they have that type of technology? No. This whole thing called modern civilization is reconstructive from something that was built long ago. His story is definitely not the whole story. That's why we go over certain things on this channel, which of course I will change into a different name within a few days. I would think. I've been editing tonight. I might actually do some editing a little later. It depends on how long the show goes today. See who pops on, whatever. Calix, good to see you. Cheers, brother, from across the pond. Always a pleasure, man. Yeah, this is something that I think about when I'm doing my research, especially the evolution thing. It's a reoccurrence. Stuff like I showed here before, when you look at street lamps from the 19th century, architecture from modern to now, from then, it's like they are planing it out, like making things like totally plain. The secret words that we know, secret words and spellcaster, things within the English language. Oh, you're in Cali. Oh, wow. Cool, man. Definitely. Yeah, I was wondering. I figured that yeah, some people on the West Coast would be able to get the stream a little earlier. I would think it's around 7:18 over there. I have a sister that stays in Southern Cali. Beautiful, beautiful. When I went there, it's been a few decades. I don't know if Southern Cali's the same from what I hear, but yeah. And I know over in the UK, it's around 3 a.m., I would think. So those guys, Friday night, Saturday morning, I figure they're still hanging out. Party City, it definitely it's definitely where it's at, man. I definitely miss overseas, but I'm happy where I'm at. Definitely has a lot of benefits. It's, what is it again? The old saying: "It's not where you're from, it's where you're at." But the rabbit hole, of course, comes from the Alice in Wonderland movie, where she stumbles and falls down the rabbit hole into another world where everything is kind of upside down. It has some very good analogies, metaphors. I mean, it's a journey. I have to admit, it's really a journey. There is also the one where she basically, they use the metaphor through the looking glass. Through the looking glass, we saw in the Matrix that they talk about. They talk about Kansas. Yes, Wizard of Oz, Crocodilla. What's up, bro. Yeah, the Wizard of Oz. The Matrix makes references to both of those movies. When I think it was Cypher says, "Hold on to your seat" or something like that, because like, hold on to your shoes, Dorothy, because we're about to kiss Kansas goodbye, or kiss Kansas bye bye, and probably in reference to when she travels to Oz through the tornado again, a vortex. It really makes you think when you look at these movies, the vortex. going to Oz. And again, the dream world. The dream world has a lot to do with Oz as well because she wakes up from the dream. They actually had another one. I think it was like a Return to Oz with that guy Franco. I think his name is James Franco. It actually wasn't that bad. He was like the wizard when he was younger, and they I guess they added on to the story that the witch was actually good until she had her heart broken, and then she turned vindictive, which was it was deep. Definitely not comparative to the original. And now what they have now is so, I mean, the stuff now is just ridiculous. Oh, Mr. X, what's up, bro? Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you.
But
Good to see you.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Can I comment on the evolution really quick?
Please do.
Super fast, super fast. It's
Oh,
actually
take
not
your time.
specifically about evolution, but I was watching
Hmm.
the breakfast, the tacos guy again,
Hmm. Hmm.
and they mentioned the jab, the jab from years ago.
Hmm.
And they said anybody who never took the jab is an idiot and a moron. And they were so pro potion, so pro potion. So the whole point being is that the evolutionists will believe anything the government tells them. Anything. They're that blind.
Yeah,
They would insult you if you were anti potion. If you were anti potion, you're stupid and ignorant. That's what they were saying on their stream last night. So it just this is the level. This is where evolution leads. It leads to zombification. It really does.
it really does. It's full blown zombification. It's so sad. It's so sad. I mean, there's some people, I think Noise 99 used to come on. I was in high school with him.
Oh, you
And
were.
yeah, he ended up taking it for he has a really good job working for the city. And but it's like, he said for 6 months he was like he had trouble just walking normally, and then
Mhm.
finally I guess got over it. But at least he admits that, yeah, he did not want to take it. He didn't think that, he was like, look, if you don't have to take it, don't take it. And but he did. And there was a few other people I know. So there's different levels. You have the full blown zombie like
Mhm.
breakfast tacos, the fake Professor Dave, I think he's pro magic potion, and a few others. And then you have the ones that say, you know what, I'm not pro potion, but they didn't have to because people could have took a stance. I know doctors that have left their not the profession, but they left the hospital and stuff like that and started
Mhm.
doing private practice. um a few other people, the military people had ETS'd out the military, instead of re-enlisted, and they were like, look, they're not going to take it, and magically now they don't have to take it. They
Exactly.
don't have to take it. Now it's not a big thing. Yeah, pure bloods, man. You know it, Medi. We are the pure bloods. We are,
But
I
see,
mean, yeah. Mhm.
no, they were just saying like you're an idiot. Like they have no in between. It's not like they're even open minded to say, well, let's hear your argument. Let's look at the research. No, no, no. You're just a freaking idiot. That's what they were saying on their stream. So it's like that's full zombification. When your mind is that closed,
Mhm.
and you kind of have to be that way to believe in evolution. You have to have a very, very closed minded type of person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Evolution. I saw something earlier. It was I forgot the name of the channel, but they were talking about something about inbreeding, like uh America is importing too many inbred something. I forgot the title of it.
Hmm.
YouTube. And the guy, again, they come out like he's like, oh well, we evolved from the Kalahari Bushmen, and they have the most diverse genetics and this and that. And I was just like, it's such a pack of lies that
Yeah.
you know it really is it's full zombie. Evolution is full zombie. I mean, and going along with that is the potion. Brett Weinstein has a channel, Dark Horse Podcast. I don't know if you've ever checked that. I think it's called. He also, like, I don't know if it's in a thumbnail. It's like the evolutionary lens,
Hmm.
and he was definitely questioning the potion. he brought on Robert Malone. I mean, I was so surprised at the way he questioned it. But he is evolution zombie, but he surprisingly questioned it. Alexis, brother, thank you for the support, bro. He says they finally released the Epstein files, and people are raging because the files have pages that are redacted.
Well,
Oh,
what'd you expect? What'd you expect? You really think they were going to show the real thing? Hell no.
oh my goodness. Yep, idiots still believe in voting, man. Holy smokes. Holy smoke.
Yep. Shouldn't be surprised.
I just, it's like they have pages that are redacted. Thank you, man. Thank you, Alexis, for letting us know this. And thank you for the support, bro. Wow. What, 90% redacted? Oh no,
Mm.
this is great. This is just, and people still believe in voting. People
Yep.
still, zombies. Voting, I said it before, is the thermometer that lets them know how many people still believe in the illusion.
Yep.
To say, oh, so all of these people went and voted and actually think that, they're putting people in power. Okay, so we have this much people that believe in it. We have so much people that might just be they might believe in it, but they're just too lazy to go vote, which is basically still kind of zombie. And then
Hmm.
you have people that are just like, you got to be crazy. It's like, you really expect me to stand in line to vote for who? For somebody that I can't even speak to, that if I get a chance to speak to them, they treat me. It's like, you see the treatment if you ever meet a politician. It's basically like plantation. You're on the
Yep.
plantation, that's the slaver. Hey, okay, good job, boy. Go back to pulling plow. And it the crookery is just, it's like, it's so sad. The crookery, it's the show. It's
But
Frank Zappa said it best. Yeah.
but as long as, like they said, the show, if people are going to a political rally or a speech and they're cheering like they're at a rock concert, there's no hope. You're not supposed to be doing that for a public servant.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
you're electing supposedly hypothetically a public servant. So why are you cheering and screaming and yelling like you're at some music band concert? It makes no sense.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. It's celebrity worship. It's political celebrity. Responsive curve. Good to see you. Yep. Never vote, man. I just, and it's nothing to say if somebody has voted before, because we all have a little bit of stuff that we did in the past. And the good thing is that we change. We start to say, yeah, why? I experienced it. Actually, now the person knows from experience, so they know for sure that, hey, you know what? I experienced it. I saw the other people around, the behavior, the cheering. Um,
Hmm.
with the Kamala thing, I mean, it just, the Trump zombies and all of that, clearly zombie, but the Kamala zombies are just on another level of zombie. I mean, I one of my friends, his wife, well, we know a mutual friend, and the wife is Kamala, a Kamalian, basically. And he started talking about politics, and she was like, oh, we don't talk politics, and stuff like that. And he goes, yeah, because he dates a girl that is also Kamalian. And he goes, yeah, man. And she's pro jab. And I was like, what? And he said, yeah, man. He goes, she even got to a point, the girl he's seeing, basically, and they're older. This guy's like 70, the girl's like in her 60s. And the most hilarious thing was, she had said to him, like, oh, she better, because they're always breaking up and getting back together. And he was telling me once, he goes, yeah, she's like, oh, she's going to start dating while she still has her looks. And I was like, holy smokes, brutal. I mean, just so delusional. I'm like, oh my goodness. And it's like, yeah, you look at, I mean, it just, somebody in their 60s is saying that, a woman in her late 60s, not even, even if it was early 60s, doesn't even matter. It's like, it's rare, like, it's not non-existent to see. I mean, I can understand, okay, he's 70, but still, I mean, he's tried to go out with girls that are in their 50s, but without luck, because he's not really that guy. But it just, the fact that he told me, she said that alluded to something in saying that, yeah, people, if they don't want to get it, they should have to get it, like alluding to that they should be forced. Howard Stern said the same thing. Gene Simmons said the same thing. We already seen Arnold, screw your freedom, Schwarzenegger. I couldn't believe when, like, you look at that and it's just like, what is going on? Yeah, it's idol worship, man. Idol worship. The but breakfast, yeah, that's the one, the blood thing,
Yeah, the mega bud laugh and all that
yeah,
stuff.
because when I look at the name, I don't know, where do they breakfast tacos on, like, with the thumbnail or something, or the channel?
That's the name of the channel, Breakfast Tacos. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, because that one time I went on, sometimes it'll pop up and I'll see they'll have like almost a full panel, I think,
Oh
sometimes.
yeah. Well, sometimes, but you can always sneak on there. Like I snuck on there one time. I asked the guy. I did that a couple nights ago. I
Mhm.
said, how does this mindless process produce beings with minds? First, I asked him, do you think human beings have minds? And he's like, well, some do, some don't. I said, okay, so fair enough. But how does this mindless process produce minds? He proceeded to give me just a textbook definition of what evolution says, how everything occurred. It's like, you're not giving me the answer. And I didn't argue with the guy because there's no point at this. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
wasn't Breakfast Tacos, but it's one of the followers. He actually doesn't debate that much, Breakfast Tacos himself.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like you just gave me a textbook definition, and that's your complete answer. You did never once said how the mind developed from this mindless process in the evolutionary process. But I just put out statements like that to just because I know it's going to get people to think. I know it, and afterwards they were still talking about it you know, and they
Wow.
just cannot come up with a straight answer. But I think they know they're full of crap, what their agenda is. I don't know. Well, I think it's they hate Christianity. Fine. You hate Christianity, whatever. Just say you hate it. But, it's,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. I think the abuse, like some of them, Midwest and stuff, Bible Belt, um,
Mhm.
we know there's like extreme stuff going on in the churches and stuff like that.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, but at least, I mean, to run into the clutches of evolution and atheism, it's running to another religion, basically.
Yeah.
Um, under the disguise of not being a religion. That's the most deceptive thing. They're like, "What do you mean? It's not a religion. It's a science." And it's like, do you understand what empirical science is? Of course they don't.
Hmm.
And that's where Hovind and these other guys are exemplary in some of the science that they present.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
then, yeah, the thing that if they would say, listen, this is, evolution is a religion, here's the science, blah, blah, blah. And they say, my belief is that they believe in, whichever
Hmm.
denomination of Christianity, then I think people would more uh break the spell of evolution, because they're, he's saying, okay, here's the science and it totally debunks it, but then he tries to say, well, this is the truth, and we know that it's not a scientific truth. So
No,
these people, yeah, they might be searching for science, and then that happens, and it's like, it's really sad,
yeah,
because I think it pushes people to um to the other side without them maybe knowing.
exactly.
Jamie MC, good to see you, man. Thank you for the support, brother. Super sticker, appreciate it, man. Really appreciate the support of the show, man. Yeah, this is one of the few places where we can openly talk about these discussions, and
Mhm.
if they want to come on and talk about it, great. I went on Gnosis's channel, and I don't know if you remember that guy, Vegan Gains.
I remember
He
the name. Yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of big like maybe 10 years ago and stuff. And he's evolution zombie. Hey, if he wants to eat certain things, great, whatever. Um, don't push it on somebody else to a point. I do believe in eating healthy, but or like how Drew Ma made a good point, the word should be heal thy, healthy, heal thy instead of the hell word, like health and because when you heal, because I remember when I met him about 15 years ago, or more than that, but yeah, around that on Block Talk Radio, he was all into the words. And I spoke with him the other day, and he said, yeah, another one, we were talking about raw milk, how, because he's vegan, but he is very open-minded. He's not gonna chastise somebody for eating, their what they want to eat. And we looked at the word diet. Why does it have to be a die type of word? Diet. Standard
Die.
American. Yeah,
D-I-A,
right.
D-I-E, die.
Yeah, right. So standard American diet, the acronym is SAD, SAD. So
Mm.
um, he was like, yeah. I go, so what would you say? And he says nutrition. So I said, that's a good one. And he goes, healthy. I said, yeah, healthy. I remember. He goes, yeah. He goes, it's not just healthy, it's heal thy. If the
Mm.
word can be said. And I said, that's a really good observation. And we talked about the raw milk. And I said, yeah, I said, that's much, they say it's much more nutritious. But I think it was what, 5-10 years ago, they had the feds raiding raw milk places in the Midwest. It was ridiculous.
Raw
And
war. I was
yeah,
thinking of
it's like
that.
for raw milk, right? It
And I
just,
was thinking raw war. Like switch it around. Raw means
yes,
war.
raw war. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And thank you, Mr. X, for the support. Always, brother.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure, man, having you on here with me. I mean, this is great. It just the we he Drew brought up a very good thing when we talked about the raw milk and what you said about the raw and war. The raw food guys, David Wolf and them, had came here in 03, 04, and I had met them and we spoke. I went to the seminar with a doctor friend of mine. He's a medical doctor, and he actually has a Facebook page. He's definitely like, don't take the potion, and very
Mm.
outspoken. He always been. He was a Tom has been a. I mean, I got to give that man a lot of credit. He's got to be around in his 70s now, but he's still doing his thing. He's got about 500,000 followers on Facebook, and he's always talking about the parasites, about then they'll try to get you to get the jab. And so he's a fighter. He's to be a medical doctor for over, I think, 4 decades. And he's a credit to medicine and people. And yeah, he just he's on Facebook, Lodi, Thomas Lodi, Dr. Thomas Lodi, and really good guy. I haven't spoken to him for like 20 years, but when I met him in May of 2001. He was the only person. We were both aware of the 9/11 thing. And he goes, come in the office and close the door. I closed the door. He goes, did you see what the government did? I said, man, yeah. And nope, for like a year or two. I had friends I was in the army with. They was like, I don't know, man. And I said, look, man, you don't think that? I said, come on, you see what these guys are doing? I said, I'm not saying there's nothing we can do. I said, but don't tell me you believe the official story, And they're like, oh, well, I don't know. But, and I'm like, holy smoke. Years later, they're like, you know what? I think you might have been, right about that. Tom was the only one. That's how aware this guy was. I mean, he was. I had asked him when we met in May of 2001, and it happened in September. We used to hang out in the summer, and I actually went to the raw food seminar with him and guys in 03, and they were like, "Hey, who's that? The doctor you're with?" I said, "That's my friend Tom. He's a medical doctor. He's Tom's older. Uh, he just." He was aware, and I go, he was the one I asked about David Icke. He goes, yeah, you got to read David Icke, man. And we recommended books. So there are medical professionals. There was another doctor in Manhattan. She has an institute, I think the Corsello Institute. I haven't been there, Dr. Corsello. And because one time I saw Tom, he had a suit on and stuff. I said, hey, what's up? Well, he goes, he's got to go in front of the medical board every year, or like 2 years you have to go in front of the medical board. So I learned a lot about medicine and stuff, just being as friendship with him. And he said, I think the rumor is Dr. Corsello went in front of the board and basically flipped them off, and they took her license. She still had the institute, I think. She was a rebel, like on another level. And then there was other people that I knew. I met DDSs, really, I mean, beautiful people in the medical field that knew that they were like, look, we got to stay cool about this because you already know the witch hunt and stuff. And I met Dr. Hal Huggins. Oh my goodness. He wrote the book, It's All in Your Head, about the mercury fillings. Because that's how I met Tom. I had went to a dentist and I said, man, I said, these silver fillings, I was listening to a health show. Actually, I was listening to Gary Null. He had a show on Free Speech Radio, 99.5 FM, WBAI. They would broadcast from Wall Street, the Empire State Building over there. And he, you know, he never convinced me to become vegetarian. I just ate healthy, you know, and was vegetarian for a while, and then went back to just eating regular. But he's a little on the left, progressive. I met him like a couple months ago. Again, he's just kind of, you know, he's a little kind of out there. But he brought to my attention that, you know, the silver fillings are mercury. It's an amalgam that's letting stuff off. And I forgot how I got recommended the book, It's All in Your Head, by Dr. Hal Huggins. Alexis, brother, thank you for the support, bro. Always, man. He says, so there are doctors that aren't zombies. Absolutely, bro. Doctors and dentists. So Dr. Hal Huggins, I would hope he's still alive. Dr. Hal Huggins. Yeah, they definitely are. Thank you. Thank you, man, for noticing. Yeah, doctors. There are many doctors and dentists actually now with YouTube. One of them on YouTube that's very aware is Dr. Sunil Dhand, Dhand. He's an Indian doctor. I think he was schooled in the UK, and he might be an American now. He has a YouTube channel, and he really puts it in. There's another one called Vejan Health. I think Vejon. That doctor, I think he sounds like he emigrated from the Caribbean. He has like a Caribbean type of accent, if I have it correct. And he is just 100% on the potion, like just crushing it. If you ever get a chance to look at his YouTube channel, Vejan Health, he is just breaking down the the stuff that they lied about. Dahan does the same thing too. Dahan is like he's a doctor. He's a medical doctor, internal medicine, and he says it every time he comes on. Dr. Sunil Dahan, internal medicine, and wonderful person from what I see on YouTube. And so is Vejan Health. And he's like, you don't want to go to a doctor. You really don't want to have to. And Tom used to tell me the same thing. When I would sit in his office, I remember I'd hang out, and he's like, just come to the office and hang out. And I would say, like 1 or 2 times I say, yeah, I'm not feeling it. He goes, well, what do you think it is? And he would give me wake-up calls like, holy smokes, you're right. I got to learn how to diagnose this. And he used to tell me, he goes, look, man, Hippocrates said it. Any man who's not a doctor by the time he's 30 is a fool. And I was like 32 at the time. And I was just like, Tom, I was like, I'm just an idiot sometimes. I studied the medicine, but I never, because I asked him, I go, what's the difference between the PhD and the medical doctor? He goes, cadavers. He goes, you got to cut into cadavers. And like Dirty Benny claimed, he said he was a medical doctor. He used to be in the chat with us. He's in his mid 60s, I think, Dirty Benny. I think you've seen him in the chat like a while ago. And he was saying once you take the rotary tool to the skull, to cut the skull open and stuff, because you have to like dissect people in the cadavers to get the medical license, I guess, in certain instances. He goes, you're never the same. Plus you're dealing with bodies that have been drenched in formaldehyde, so that has to affect you in some way. And so Dirty Benny gives some great medical advice, as far, medical perspective, I would say, to stay within YouTube guidelines. This is my opinion. And it just lets you know, there are many doctors that I've met and dentists that are not zombified. They're actually like way ahead of aware on many things than I am. Dr. Who was it that wrote the book? Hal Huggins. He actually realized that the mercury fillings were causing problems in some of his patients, and that removing them in a special way, because you don't want to have it leak into the body, would actually benefit their health. and this is not a medical claim, I'm staying within YouTube guidelines, it's my opinion. He wrote the book, It's All in Your Head. And he spoke about how I think the ADA might get a cut of every mercury filling that's placed. Now, if the filling is falls out and it's put in the garbage, that is actually um, it's considered an environmental hazard if it's in the garbage. But in your mouth, it's not environmental. That's the craziest thing. Alexis, thank you, brother, for the support. He says, "Are there any non-zombified religion pastors?" That I don't know. I think there are some, because the ones that I would think that are not zombified are the ones that say, look, this is my way, this is the way that they believe, and that they're okay with you not believing in the way they believe. So that is one uh part of not being zombified if they're a pastor. I'm trying to think if there's any that I remember. There are some people I've met from Unitarian churches that seem to be not as zombie. Most, like Hovind and all of that, he's not an evolution zombie, so I'll give him that. He's very aware. He is extremely religious zombie when it comes to his particular faith. Stephen Meyer is another excellent. His science is just on point. I think he wrote the signature in the cell. So he talks about the signature in the cell showing how it could not have evolved. I think he also, I don't know if he wrote the Darwin delusion, but his science is on point. But I think he's kind of religious zombie. Nice person from what I see in his interviews. Michael Behe, I don't know if Michael Behe is religious, but possibly he wrote Darwin's Black Box. So he's the one that I think coined the term irreducible complexity. I'm not sure though, because when I look back,
I believe he did. He was one of who coined that term, Michael B.
Okay, so he might have coined that. As Varun, always a pleasure, brother. We got the link pinned to the top of the chat if you want to hop on. So we have Behe. Richard Thompson, Dr. Richard Thompson, I think he's a PhD. He was the one that co-wrote Forbidden Archaeology with Michael Cremo. And when I met Cremo in 2018, I have his books, Forbidden Archaeology. It had such an impact on the scientific community. He had to write a second book called Forbidden Archaeology's Impact. I have that one too. They mentioned stuff decades actually, before Behe about the flagellum motor. I actually have some audio lectures that they had. So I think Behe and a lot of these Christian pastors got their information from some of these guys, like, because I noticed it's almost word for word verbatim on some things. So they knew about this, and they were part of like the Hare Krishnas, which, how as Varun was saying, is a different branch of Hinduism, but it's more, it's kind of got its own semi-zombie type of stuff in there. But their science is on point. Their science actually goes deeper than what I've seen from Hovind and these other guys. So that's how I knew so much, like, because I was studying it way before I was studying it in the 90s. And then finally I got to meet Cremo 20 years later. I was like, holy smokes. He was in New Jersey. I drove like 2.5 hours to meet him. I was like, he had a lecture. It was like $15 to get in. I crossed over the Gowanus Bridge and stuff from Brooklyn. And it just, I think the Verrazano, it was a while ago. I just, getting older, man, you forget. But it was a pleasure to meet him. But he's a Hare Krishna, because I noticed there's a lot of like Indian guys hanging out there with him, like guru type. But the science, it's irrefutable. It's irrefutable, the science. Also, Kreml was the one that hit me to the spirit verse leading to materialism, so that being before the material world. So he would, and the Hindus really had stuff with that. Alexis, brother, man, thank you for the support. Alexis says, are there non-zombified celebrities? Ventura. I remember he said they want 9/11 to, yeah, definitely. There are some, I would say Ventura, uh, Ventura was partially aware of, yeah, he was definitely aware of that stuff. He talked about the Vietnam thing, the what was it? The ship, oh, Ezroon. Hey, what's up, man? Good to see you,
Hello,
man.
MD.
Good to see
MD,
you.
I've not been able to come online for some time because right now picking season is going on, so I'll have to be there supervising the laborers. That's why I'm not being able to hop on
Yeah.
frequently.
Oh no, that's, hey, it's always a pleasure whenever you can, man. You know, it's always a pleasure. I know you got stuff. Always happy to see you. Um, yeah, have you ever heard of Richard Thompson and Michael Cremo? Like they wrote Forbidden Archaeology, they're Harry Krishners, but they're Westerners. Um,
No, MD, I've not heard of
yeah,
them.
yeah, they but they really they who was the one that he used to just like really break down the evolution, like, and just he would dispose of the evolutionaries and even a lot of the Western pastors. I think his name was Prabhupada.
Prabhupada, AC Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupada.
Yeah, the Bhaktivedanta Center or something.
Yeah, ISKCON.
Oh, it's gone.
ISKCON. Its name is ISKON. ISKCON.
Oh, it's gone.
ISKCON.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes,
ISKCON.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have some deep philosophy. I've seen
Yeah.
some of, a friend of mine was part of that, and he used to show me the philosophy, itinerary, the papers. Yeah, but yeah, what Alexis was saying, I would say Ventura is, I don't know how much aware, but definitely he's aware of the whole 9/11 thing, in my opinion, with what he said, to stay within the guidelines. Um, who else was it? There's a few, but I think I'm trying to think of actors, celebrities, which ones might be kind of aware. Ventura was, I mean, Schwarzenegger is just like a plant type of puppet from what he said. I mean, for him to say "screw your freedoms" and basically almost forcing people to do the thing, it was just, I mean, the fact that you already saw what the family he married into, he was just all about trying to get into politics, really. Ice Cube, see, this is the thing with Ice Cube, is that he's still, I think he's still on their side, but he did at least, too little, too late when he came out and talked about the rap uh, industry being connected with the prison industry. So at least he came out and told people. So he's not full blown zombie, but he did come out with, saying that, look, these guys have a pipeline there. And there's videos on YouTube too with some former music executives that actually came out and said that yeah, Ice Cube's, yeah, free speech. Well, I think it was Ice T. I don't know if it was Ice T that said freedom of speech. Just watch what you say. I don't know if it was. Yeah, I think it was Ice T that said that, but I didn't know if Ice Cube. I don't know what his quote was. If you want to throw it into chat, particularly Ice Cube's, but I know he did come out and speak out against it. Jake, what's up, man? Good to see you, bro. Always a pleasure. Yeah,
Hey MD, how's it going?
pretty good, man. How's everything?
Oh man, good. Just working a lot lately. I've been listening to some of the streams, sometimes live, but I'm like too tired to jump on. I'm just like eating dinner as I'm watching it, or I'll watch a playback. But it's good to see you, MD, Mr. X, as Vroom. Good to see you
Yeah.
guys.
Hello, Jake. How are you doing?
Yeah, always a pleasure, man.
Yo, I wanted to jump on real quick because you said, man, I gotta tell you, man, like his famous lines used to be, "I'll be back. Hasta la vista, baby. Get to the chopper." But what tops them all, screw your freedoms. That is all I can think of when I think about Arnold Schwarzenegger now. That will forever be, well, when I get a pump, it feels like I'm coming. I mean, that's his bodybuilding one. But screw your freedoms. That is Arnold Schwarzenegger now. That's what he's going to be known for. That's his legacy. Disgrace. He is not an American.
Yeah, it's really sad. When he said that, I was like, why, man? I was like, this guy just, it was so sad. It was, I mean, and he did it in a way like, I mean, he's a plant. He's basically, one guy, when I looked at, there was a thing, a documentary on YouTube, and he said Schwarzenegger, because they say, he put bodybuilding on the map, and they said he didn't really, he put it on the map, but what he did for bodybuilding, which was kind of really amazing that he said that this guy, I forgot who it was, but he goes, Schwarzenegger heterosexualized bodybuilding. So I guess before he really started getting into the acting, there was a stigma on bodybuilding as not being as hetero as it is. And today, as we see, it's not really that hetero. It's you got guys just, on each other kind of in a way that's just, I mean, you're standing on a stage with other guys judging you, if anything, it just, yeah, it's kind of weird. It's definitely kind of weird. Are doctors zombies now? I thought there were, I can't tell the icon. The only real doctors are healers. Yeah, the real doctors are healers. Takes a zombie to think lemons follow each other. Aren't we just dumped over? I would think there are some doctors that are aware, definitely, clearly, that are not zombies. The majority will throw you over the thing. Jake,
Uh,
yeah.
Well, MD, that icon you were just saying, I thought most doctors were quacks.
Well, that's what they call the doctors or the PhDs that go against the curriculum. Because Gary Null is a PhD, so he's a doctor, but he's not a medical doctor, but he knows extremely a lot about medicine. He has a health show and stuff for 40 years or something. I started listening to him in the 90s for about maybe 5, 6, 7 years, 8 years at the most. And then, that's how I met other medical doctors through some of his advice. I sought them out, and they used to call him a quack because he was anti-potion. And his YouTube page, I mean, his Wikipedia page, they just try to crush him and stuff. But the guy, he's on the left, and he's progressive. He doesn't call himself, I guess, a Democrat, but is like the progressive whatever. But they're a little bit on the lib thing. But his science is on point. His research, the other doctors I've talked to that actually, don't really favor him that much, but they say, look, you can't argue with the science he presents, and he presents some stuff, and they labeled him a quack. So he was the one that in the late 90s that where I learned on how they classify the doctors that rebel as quacks. And it will be like they had Dr. Samuel Epstein. He wrote a book, I might still have it, called The Politics of Cancer Revisited. And I used to listen to the Free Speech Radio all the time, and it's a battle. Varun, you had some?
Yeah, MD, do you think actually like nowadays the fitness industry is like coming up with so many videos of staying fit that bodybuilding is actually not a very effective way of keeping your body in good shape, because they can't even like touch their backs. If their back starts itching, they'll have to scratch against the wall. It's not a very effective system. And when it comes to combat as well, they're very slow when it comes to hitting and punching. So it's just like a crab-like body that they've developed. And Arnold Schwarzenegger popularized bodybuilding, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you have a very good point there. I mean, there are some guys that are big. I wouldn't say they're bodybuilders, but they're almost, they're very, they're not small guys. They're like 240 pounds, muscular, and they do acrobats. You can see them on YouTube, but I wouldn't think that those are the guys that take the juice. So the juice, those guys, you're right. They they're not as flexible.
Yeah, I
They
agree with that, Room. It's completely impractical what those bodybuilders do to just look aesthetically good, supposedly to, certain type of men who don't like women, So they do that. They take the juice to look good for men who don't like women on stage with other men, which is weird, with all men wearing thongs on stage. Very weird. And then, as we're 100% agree with you, man, I'm more about like practical fitness, combat, work, daily life. Like, does it make you like healthier, right? Because that juice definitely does not make you healthier. It makes you way less healthy and way less practical, way less functional. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, MD, I agree with you too.
Mhm.
The thing, MD, is I've noticed one thing about bodybuilders. Like you said, they only do it to impress other men, right? Their lives are useless. It's just lifting, eating, and sleeping. That's it. There's nothing outside the gym for them. Like I think even they're also very heavily zombified, MD.
Oh yeah, very, very zombified. Um, the fact that, I like exercise. I've always been in shape. Everybody gets older, but when I was always like, you got to be crazy. I don't like needles. I don't like pills. So the fact that people are taking that stuff to get bigger, I was never into that. It's like, you got to be crazy, man. I'll rather stay slim. And there's nothing wrong with being slim. Some people have a slimmer build. Athletic builds are better, actually, as far as, you can, like, we know from being in the military, it's about endurance, it's about cardio, it's about, and I never liked to run. When we had to run, I did it because we had to, and they get you in really good shape. I used to like to work out and stuff, but you know you think about it, like, it just yeah, the bodybuilding thing. I think More Plates, More Dates actually said that when you get beyond a certain point, you're not working out to look good for women anymore.
Yeah.
Not to say you should just
Facts.
yeah. And he said that, Derek, I think his name is. And a lot of those guys, very sus, very sus, in my opinion. And it
Yo,
just
Derek himself is sus. You see that with the weird little froofy hairdo he's got, and and his little mannerisms.
yeah,
He used to be a pickup. He used to be a pickup artist, and like he's got videos of himself. He used to be like
no way.
chubby, like chipmunk cheeks. Dude, it's
No way. Are
hilarious,
you
man. How his
serious?
channel started out.
No, because I'm like, wait, are you PUA? Are you
That's how the name got More Plates, More Dates, because he was doing fitness stuff and like pickup artist stuff. He doesn't do the pickup
Oh
artist
my
stuff anymore.
goodness. Wow. It makes you wonder, more dates with who, right? Yeah, oh, Alexis, man, thank you, brother, for the support. He says Nick Fuentes is popularizing the fact that the only true Americans are Caucasians due to them founding the country. Jake, as a U.S. Marine, thoughts? So, Jake, this question is for you, man.
Interesting. I have heard of Nick Fuentes for a little bit of his stuff. I know he's like extremely like racist from what I've heard or whatever. But I've never seen that crazy stuff because I've only seen him on YouTube. So the stuff that like is crazy, he says on other platforms. So I don't really check out too many other platforms really too much. Besides YouTube. So I haven't heard like the crazy stuff he said. I just like have heard that he is basically a racist or whatever. And white men founded the country. All right, man. America is the most multicultural, like diverse country like in the world. You want to say founded the country, like okay, man. So supposedly Christopher Columbus founded whatever. That guy was from Portugal. Then we got a bunch of African Americans that were brought over here to build like like the economy, basically the cotton economy, tobacco, all the stuff that they were picking in the fields. And then there were white men that just had guns that just like owned them or whatever. So built the country or founded the country. Like they were also enslaving the Pocahontas, Indian type of people when they came over here. They made them march, they made them like cut their hair and everything like that. And they were working. They were kind of enslaved too. Now, then the Irish and Italians came over and they were kind of like the low class workers. The Chinese came over and they were building the railroads. And then when they got to the point where it was payday, they would just delete them. So which race, which culture, what it's like, dude, at some point in America, every culture, every race has been at the bottom where they were either paid like pennies on the dollar compared to like, the people that run the company, own it, managing it, whatever, or legit slaves or whatever. I mean, like I said, Irish and Italians at one point, Chinese, the Native Americans, black people, obviously, but everyone only wants to focus on only the black people. I don't know why, dude. It's just like, so founded, No, man. Pretty much every race, man, has a right in America. At some point, every race has been bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah, you're right, Jake. Actually, I'd seen one thing when the Italians came, because they were Catholics. The Protestant whites, who were the descendants of the founding fathers and the 13 colonies, they treated them very badly. They treated the Irish also very badly because they were Catholic. So they also weren't treated very well. Like, they had a very bad experience in the beginning. Only later on they were accepted as whites.
Yeah. There was actually definitely, we see that the Native Americans built a lot of the bridges. The George Washington Bridge connecting Manhattan to New Jersey, the Native Americans would build it because when they fell, they wouldn't scream. They would just drop to their end, and they had no fear. So a lot of the very dangerous architecture, like the bridges, were built by a lot of Native American nations. The railroads, and there were very good men that were considered white men that did have money, that employed labor, like that with the Chinese laborers that built the railroads. I forgot his name, but he was one of the moguls, and he goes, look, he goes, the bones of these Chinese laborers are underneath all of the railroads, because when they ended, they just put, they added it in, like the wall of China and stuff like that. So he at least was honest enough to admit it. And of course, yes, there were massive amounts of white men that were laborers. The Irish were basically the first. The Irish and the English also, the poor, were enslaved in this country along with the black and the Native American. Because when people call them Indians, like I was in school too, when they, growing up, they used to say that. I used to say, well, when did they get here from India? Because Indians come from India, right? So just the term of calling them that was incorrect. Like, Indians come from India. So these people were like Native American. They were very different types. What they don't mention is that there were white natives, the Toltec natives that the Aztecs would use as sacrifices. People can check. You had blonde hair, green eyed natives. You had, there's a guy that gave a TED talk. He said a theory that's not popularized. I think the name was of the lecture. And he said there were small isolated tribes, white tribes throughout America, and black tribes as well. But then you do have some people that try to say, oh, well, it was all black or it was all this. And of course, we already know through research that they're just race baiting. It was, I think, America before the Columbus was because Columbus, look at the Columbus myth. He never landed on North America. This great captain crashed his ship, the Santa Maria, on San Salvador, an island that's considered the Bahamas today, one of the islands, the savior, San Salvador. The natives helped him bring the shipwreck to shore, and they documented that they were so honest. They didn't even, they didn't steal anything. They built a fort with the wrecked wood, that from the wreckage. And then once they built the fort, they attacked them. And then he came back on the second voyage. After that happened, because the three ships that came, right? The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. The Pinta was
Andy, real quick, are you saying that the natives built a fort for the Columbus crew, and then after the fort was built, the Columbus crew attacked the Native Americans?
Yeah.
Holy crap! I didn't know that. Wow. I just want to make sure that was clear. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you can look this up. Yeah, they helped them build the fort with the wreckage of the wood from the wreckage, and then Columbus went on the ship, the middle ship, the Pinta, which was captained by Martin Pinzon. So you had the Santa Maria by Columbus, the Pinta by Martin Pinzon, and then the smallest ship, the Nina, the baby kind of. I think Nina is Spanish for baby, and so the thing was, they said, if you look at some of the documents, that Martin Pinzon and Columbus had a map, and they speculated it could have been the Piri Reis map. So they already had a map of the Americas. Because if you look at the Piri Reis map, which is from like, they try to say 1513, which was made from older maps, it shows the entire coast from Nova Scotia, Canada, all the way down to Argentina. Very
Oh.
detailed. So you have a map that's already mapped out, and they're coming across here. The second voyage, once they built that fort and went back to Portugal and came back, no, to Spain actually, because Spain had funded it. They came back with cannons and dogs, and that's when just all hell broke loose. That's when they have the stories of him ripping babies off of suckling off a mother's breast and throwing it to the dogs to be eaten. And his own men was like, holy, what the heck is this guy doing? De la Casas, Bartolome de la Casas, was one of his crew. He immediately turned into a Catholic priest. He said, look, he wanted what's it called? Not asylum. It's like a political, it might be political something, but to say, okay, look, I'm granting, I'm going to be a priest. So he documented it. His book, his documentation.
Is it amnesty?
Huh?
Amnesty? Is that the word you're
I
looking
think
for?
it's amnesty. Yeah. So he was on the Columbus crew when he saw him take the baby and throw it to the dogs, and they were chopping off hands and stuff. And, in my opinion, for YouTube guidelines, anybody can look it up on historical documents.
They burned those books, didn't they, MD?
Well, some of them they did. His book got published in the 1800s. It took like 300 years for that to be published. So some of them survived. Alexis says, have a friend of mine, non-zombie. He's seeking to join the police force due to the pay, and he's interested in taking bad guys in. Wonder if he will become a zombie due to the job. Yeah, man. A good film on that is like Training Day, where it shows Ethan Hawke sees the corruption in the police department. He goes to make to help, because some people become cops to be the good guy and take the bad guys in. And, he sees Denzel is the bad guy. So he could become zombie. He could not. I met a cop about 15 years ago. He was, I heard him talking with a friend of mine that used to blow glass in the flea market. He used to make like the glass pipes. And he was talking about like drugs and the law. And I was like, how do you know so much about, drug laws? And he goes, I used to be a cop. And he goes, you didn't hear about those cops in Brooklyn that used to take drugs from the drug dealers and then give them to dealers and have them sell it? And I said, yeah, I remember it in the news. He was one of the cops in that ring. He said that he got a house that he put in his family's name, and he had a business for putting things in a subway. So he had made money off of it. He only got 3 years in prison. And I said, people didn't know you're a cop? He goes, no. He goes, nobody knew. So some cops go Training Day. Ethan Hawke, the second movie to Training Day, I think is called The Assault on Precinct 13. So Ethan Hawke is portraying like one of the guys, like your friend, non-zombie, who became a cop to help people. And it's a fine line. It is a fine line, man. It really is when you think about what these guys have to go through. Azrun, you had something?
Yeah, MD, I wanted to ask you another thing. Don't you think that I shouldn't be saying this, but even in my country, the cops are very corrupt, all right? They won't do anything until and unless you bribe them. That actually the cops are bigger gangsters than the criminals themselves. In every country, it's like that, right? Like most of the countries, it's like that, where the cops.
Thank you, Asbaroon, for bringing some truth. Yes. Here's the thing in America, Asbaroon, like this is the way it works, is that I view the cops as almost as bad as politicians. Like every once in a while, I get this one politician who says, oh, I'm going to change the world. And he might go in. He might really be a good guy. What happens is you either conform to their corrupt ways. It's just a cesspool of corruption in politics. So you either conform to their ways, or if you don't, then you'll be shunned. And before you know it, like you will be kicked out of politics and not be made popular. They'll sabotage you. And that's the same way that, you know, the blue line, the gang in blue. That's what their nickname is, Asroom. So if you don't conform to their ways.
Are you there, Jake? I think your mic, Jake.
Yeah.
Give me a second. Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now. I hear you now.
Sorry about that. I had an alarm go off. Sorry.
Yeah, you said something about conform.
Yeah, if you don't conform to their ways, then they basically give you a cold shoulder. They shun you, and then they try to basically like kind of like blackmail you or set you up or
Yeah.
get you like written up for little like minor violations. Basically, if you don't conform to their corruption, and they try to like basically get you kicked out or whatever. So when one guy thinks like, I'm not a zombie, I'm going to change the world. Here I go. Well, sorry, dude, this isn't like some fairy tale. Like, he's going to either be corrupt or he's going to get kicked out. Or if he stays in, he will not be able to progress up the ranks enough to actually make a difference, because you can't make a difference at the very low end of the totem pole. But if we progresses up the ranks, the only way you can do that is if the people around you like you and your superiors like you, because they see you sticking up for your guy and falsely testifying, which is perjury, you know, covering your brother's butt when he messes up and does something illegal. And they do internal investigations, and what do you know? They never find themselves guilty. And well, if I had to do an internal investigation on myself, yeah, I'm not going to send myself to jail either. But that's what these people are allowed to do. It is so much corruption that you can't walk into it and think, I'm going to clean up the whole thing by myself. There needs to be a massive change, which, you know, some of these people advocate for like anarchy. It's just like, that's not really the answer, because nothing good is going to come out of that either. So it's
The
a really
answer's
difficult
AI, Jake.
situation.
It's AI. The answer is
No, that's
AI.
definitely not the answer.
Yep.
But it's
That's
a
the only
really
way.
it's a
Surveilling everything.
no. The AI and mass surveillance is definitely not the answer.
But it's
I mean,
coming. It's
well, I
coming
mean,
anyway.
it's coming either way. But I mean, it's not the answer for a good solution. I mean, it's a solution, but not a good one.
But what would
So,
be a good solution at this point? We're left out of options at this point.
well, I mean, the good solution would be if there were enough good people, which I honestly
Good
believe.
people.
Yeah,
Humanity. I don't
I,
believe in humanity. It's failed every time.
well, I think there are good people, but I think there are way more corrupt people and people who don't have good in their heart. Like, if you put people in charge of like a trust or something like that, and let's just say it's $1 million, and you need to make sure this $1 million goes towards the community, you already
Mhm.
know that like at least 75% or more of people are not going to spend that money on the community. They're going to start pocketing themselves,
Sure.
hooking up their friends, their family members, and that's all politicians
And they'll
do.
get the zombies to
Instead of
defend them. They'll get the zombies to
exact,
defend them.
yep, and then instead of you know, $1 million, you got trillions of dollars that these politicians are trusted with. So there's a very, very small portion of people who actually want to do good in the world, and because of that, the vast majority of people are just naturally evil and don't want to do good for the world and don't care about the good of the community. They care more about themselves over the good of the community. Because of that, you cannot have a good government, and you cannot have a good police force, and you can't change it, and the little small tiny population can't change it, because
No.
the people themselves that they are governing, the mass majority of people don't even want to go, because they are hoping. This is a thought I've had for a while. America is basically a lottery. Capitalism is basically a lottery. You're hoping that you're going to be you're going to hopefully be part of the 1%.
Yeah.
Most likely, obviously, there's a 99% chance you're going to be part of the 99% of the population,
Yeah.
which is struggling to get by, right? Let's say 95%. And because the middle class is shrinking and shrinking, you got the 1% elitist,
Mhm.
you got the bottom 95%, because basically, I mean, everyone's just like struggling to get by with inflation, especially after Conan. And you got a few percent of people, like 4% of people, that are kind of middle class now, that are like, you know, upper middle class, where you can kind of afford to live like a decent life now. But the middle class is almost gone. Pretty much everybody's poor, and everybody likes it that way. Everybody likes the corruption. They're hoping maybe one day I can get voted into office and I can be part of that corruption and put some money, put some people's money in my pocket that was supposed to go towards the good of the community, but instead I'll put it in my pocket. Maybe one day I'll hit the lottery and I'll be part of the 1%, and and then I can
Powerball,
step on
1.5 bill.
people's. Maybe I can step on people's neck and corruption. People don't want to do anything good when they get to the top. Extremely rare that
But
people
that's
do
probably
anything
how
good
they
with their
got to the
money.
top, though, Jake. They probably got there by being corrupt. That's how they made it to the top.
Exactly, by
Yeah.
slave labor, by H-1B visas. That's the same thing, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, this whole country, I mean, America is basically a lottery. People do not want to see other people do good. And there's no middle class. Like people all care about like brands and hyping it up and this Instagram and Ferraris and Lamborghinis and all this. Like people don't care about it, about families, just having a decent life, a decent, modest life, having some money in a savings account, but you're not going out and flashing, just saving your money,
But
eating
that's why
good
they
food with
feminize
your family.
society, because that's a good consumerism society.
Exactly.
Tight knit
80% of goods
family
are
isn't
bought
good. Yeah, they're not a good
by,
consumer
by, by
society.
women.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Tight knit families care about, going to the grocery store and eating food, not going out to the fanciest restaurant to take an
Right.
Instagram picture of your plate, So,
You got a bunch
so
of
yeah,
single
this,
men
this
say, "Let me spend money on jewelry, a fancy car, so I can meet a woman." Spending money,
exactly. Yeah. So anyway, that's my thought on
and paying for
whoever's a
women too.
super.
I might add, buying them
Yeah,
gifts. A lot of simps
exactly.
out there going to K Jewelers or whatever jewelry store and buying up a
Yeah.
storm for some girl, but will ghost them in no time.
But so whoever super chat that was, man, that's my answer. Like you can think you're gonna do good in the world, but really you're gonna end up corrupt and an evil person yourself if you think you're gonna change something, man. It's better to start like some type of nonprofit that's gonna benefit your community, something like that. If he actually has good in his heart, he needs to
Hmm.
manage money coming in and get it to people who need help. The homeless, the people who need food, like running a food bank, something like that. He would do much more good than trying to walk into a cesspool of corruption and thinking he's going to change that whole organization. That ain't going to happen, man. It'd be
United
better
States
to
should
do
not
something
have
else.
food banks. Honestly, they shouldn't have food banks. There's enough
I
money in the government to be giving people food for
they
crying out
got
loud. You
exactly.
know?
I mean, unfortunately, you do with inflation though. Like there's food banks, there's nonprofits, charities, organizations, stuff to help
Yeah,
people.
because the government's wasting money abroad, giving money to other
They're
countries.
throwing it to Ukraine, to Russia, to put in their
Yeah.
pockets, but so. But
Mhm.
people do need help in America. There's a lot of people complaining about cost of living or inflation or anything like that, and so people do need help. And you need to tell your friends start a nonprofit, man. That
Yeah.
not be a
Well,
cop.
well, I mean, hopefully, yeah. And this is our opinion, staying within YouTube guidelines. We're
It's just my opinion.
yeah,
America's actually
Just
great.
my
Actually,
opinion.
yeah, yeah. Alexis June, thank
America's
you for
great.
yeah. You guys know, man. It just Alexis June, thank you for the support, brother. He says, "Are video games zombie machines?" You know something? You're absolutely right, bro. They are zombie machines. I was a video game zombie in the 80s and 90s, and they are zombie machines. When I look at some of my friends, and thank you for the support, Alexis, brother. Thank you, bro. The video games are so zombie machines that I had friends that were playing Counter Strike back in the early 2000s that still play today.
Wow.
Over 20 years later, and they still meet up and they're like, "Yeah, man, I played with Joe the other day," and I'm like, "Holy smokes!" I'm so glad I got out of that.
Do they have the
It
same
just,
job? All right.
I mean, it's crazy. It's Zombie City. As Varun, you had something?
Yeah, MD, I had one more doubt actually. See, some people say race is a biological construct, some say it's a social construct, but if you take the arguments of the ones who say it's a biological construct, African Americans, they're excellent athletes, and Asians, they really do well in studies and they're very good at maths. They say it's a stereotype, but most of the time, the Asian kids who are introverts, they really perform well in maths. And then, like, when you see Olympics, most of the time it's the Africans who win the running races, the sprinters, the marathon runners, they're all from Africa. So like when you say it's a social construct also, like so the arguments that people put forth saying that it's a biological construct, what do you have for that against that argument, MD? Because like I'm a bit confused over here.
Okay. All right. This is the science on that. There are different phenotypes. So different phenotypes will perform in certain ways. But what they don't show you is, remember, Olympics and all of this stuff today is a commercial. You
Yeah,
have
yeah.
men which are incorrectly classified as Caucasian. The word comes from Caucasus Mountain Asians. And remember, the latter part of the word is Asian. So this is why I show that we know that Europe is not a continent. And this is not saying anything against anybody that would be called European. It's saying, no, you're part of all of us. You are part of the Asian continent, and we are all brothers and sisters. So they are part of Western Asia, which could be considered, Europe. You say, okay, Western Asia is Europe. It's not its own continent. It's
not Africa, though.
Huh?
Not a part of Africa, though. Europeans are not a part of Africa.
When we look at the map,
no,
right?
I'm just kidding. It basically is North Africa too. That's what like the southern European countries basically are.
Look at this map here. The only thing that separates Africa and the Middle East is the Suez Canal. So if you actually, and that's an artificial canal, just like the Panama Canal. So the Panama Canal on the left, America is one continent, because you need locks and levers on the Panama Canal to raise the water level. Even though they dug it out enough to do that, it's still connected. So you have to raise the water levels through locks and levers, and then the ship goes through, and then it recedes back to its normal level, which connects the continents, because that's what a continent is. It's like a wire, how things have continuity. It continues. A landmass that's continuous is a continent. So therefore, Europe is not a continent because it's connected to Asia. We already see that. This right here, what they would consider Europe in the red is totally connected to the rest. But as Vegan Skeptic showed, that Africa is actually connected. If you look at the Suez Canal, it's artificially made. So this is one big continent that could be considered. He put the word Afro-Asia, which is a tough one, because, people are going to be like, holy smokes. When I come out with the human origin.
I agree with that, though, because I always say, like, Southern Europe is basically North Africa. It's like the same thing, like the Middle East, the North.
Very close. Alexis, thank you for the support. He says, Jake and MD are active military and vets zombies. Are active military and vets zombies. Active military, there are guys in the military and guys that are veterans that are zombies, without a doubt. And then there are guys like us who are veterans who are not zombies. Like, we know that there were times, and there's a few things that we might eat that are still zombie food, but we have unzombified ourselves. But the majority, I would say, yes, the majority of active military and vets are zombies, but there will be unzombified people within that group. Like the military guys who ETS'd, which stands for ended time served. So when I served my years, you get to either ETS or you re-enlist. So I ETS'd. I ended time served because I wasn't a zombie. I was like, look, I'm getting out of here. They were like, oh, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, anything except staying in here. Now, part of me says maybe I should have stayed in the reserves or whatever, but I had to leave. I just couldn't.
They call it EAS now, end of active service.
Okay.
But same thing. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. When I was in, it was ETS. And I think
it was, because the older guys would always say ETS and the younger guys would always say EAS. And they're like, what are you young cats talking about? They would say that. But
yeah. And they would call the statement you would get to be paid was the LES, leave and earning statement. I don't know if that was the same. The LES when you get your paycheck.
It did have the leave and earnings. I don't know if they actually called it whatever. I don't know what it actually called.
You got your LES statement, to say, okay, this is what you got paid. But yeah, so there are, the majority, I would say, are zombie. The guys who took the potion to stay in, zombie. Vets who come out. When I go to the VA, when I need to, like if I'm not feeling well, if I go to the VA hospital, who knows? I mean, maybe it could be something from when I was in the gas chamber or something and stuff. It could affect me. Guys tell me that I should go to there's a claim thing where you can get something. I don't receive any money.
Dude, I never even thought about that, dude. Because you got to go to the gas chamber at least once a year for training. Someone's got to go like 2 times a year, 2-3 times a year.
And when we walked out of that gas chamber, snot's running down to your ankles and you got to flap your arms. And I remember in basic training, they said, you better say, my arms are flapping and my eyes are open, drill sergeant, because you had to get the gas off of you because of the effect.
Dude, because seriously, if you think about that, dude, like we're just like poisoning ourselves when we're doing that. I never thought
Bro,
about that can cause
that
problems
was
in the future, but
brutal.
it can.
I think I'm still traumatized from it without knowing I'm traumatized from it. The stuff I went to, it was brutal. And then all of the other stuff that I didn't know about, the barracks, and when we used to go and live in the field, when I was living in the Mojave Desert for like 30 something days, I was young, so I was immortal back then. You're looking at 18, 19, 20, 21. I was super immortal. And, them
Right.
doing
That's what I thought. All the crazy stuff, the training, whatever. When I look back at it, it's like, dude, I was living like an action movie pretty much. You don't
yeah,
even think about it when you're that
yeah.
young and just doing it,
And especially you being a Marine. I mean, that when I worked with Marines, I mean, they had 12 weeks, I think, of basic. I don't know. Did you go through 12 weeks?
Yeah,
Or,
it's 3 full months. Yeah.
yeah, 3 full months. Army was 8. I think Army Rangers, my nephew went through 12 because he's an airborne Ranger combat veteran. I mean, my nephew is, I mean, and I can see how it affected him. It's so sad because he's a family man. He has kids and he's such a good guy, such a nice guy, man. Just very, very similar to how my mother, just a beautiful person. But I mean, he had been through it. Army Ranger, um, airborne Ranger. It just, yeah. When I went through, we have been through a lot. We're not zombie, but there are a lot of zombies.
That's why I wanted to answer this question. Yeah, I used to always say, like, when I was in, man, the military is good if you're a dumb cow. If you have like no brain and you just want to follow orders, because if you have like an idea, they're like, whoa, they're like they don't want to listen to like an idea outside the box. Even if it's a better way to do things, they're like, oh, this is the way we've always done it. This is, you know what I mean? So like, if you're a dumb cow, man, and you just want to listen and follow orders, well, eventually you lose like all your ambition and drive and any type of entrepreneurial spirit that you have, like any type of like independent thought, like things like that, eventually it gets weeded out of you because the way you progress, the way you do things is by just being a dumb cow and following orders. The only area where you're able to allow a little bit of kind of like free thinking, things like that, is like the special forces. And I always said that that'd be the only way I re-enlist. And I actually did get invited because I was in the top 2%. They took basically the top 2% of all the battalions for physical scores and mental scores in your, and also you had to have at least one deployment under your belt. And then they looked at like, what did you actually do in deployment? Did you sit at like the main base and not do anything? Or were you outside the wires, what we call it, when you're actually, going on the missions and patrols and everything like that, doing the quick reaction force and standing post when you're on base, and like, were you actually, involved in firefights, where you're doing real combat stuff, so anyway, so I looked at that, whatever. So you have to have high physical score, high mental score. And there are some people that are like, really high physical and mental, but like they sat at the headquarters base, like the main camp, and everyone outside the wire during their deployment. Well, okay, that didn't count. They, special forces didn't want those type of people. They wanted people who were smart, strong, and had combat experience. So anyway, so like I was in the top 2%, basically. Those are people that I consider in the top 2% for, you had to have those two scores plus combat experience, basically. So top 2%. I was recruited. I was basically asked, to see if they wanted an in-doc. And man, I thought about it because I was like, man, this is the only way I would do it. But the problem is, they don't pay single guys good at all in the military. So it's like, man, I already had a job offer lined up um, in a construction field industry to make a lot of money. And they actually paid me more money than they offered because there was a lot of overtime that I worked. And man, my God, I was sick being poor in the military. And I made, I made about 4.5, 5 times more than when I was in the military the next year after I got out. Like, just think about that, man. You
Yes.
4.5 times your salary. Like,
Yeah.
dude, it was crazy. I was blowing way too much money. It was kind of bad. I wish I would have had like a financial class or something and how to save some of that money. But I was working all the time. Like, I didn't care. All I did was work. And then
Yeah.
even if I went special forces, I might have 1.5 times to maybe double, my salary if it goes special forces, maybe. And then it'd only be certain times because I would be like hazard pay if I was deployed, and those guys deploy a lot, but they're very short deployments and they come back all the time. So we're not getting the hazard pay all the time to where you can get the 1.5 to 2 times, more money. But it's like nothing, man. So they pay the military like crap. So if you're a dumb
Yeah.
cow who, is okay with barely getting by in life. You got a barracks room or a tent out in the field, and
Mhm.
you got enough, money for food at the chow hall and a little bit of spending money, and that's all you think you can amount to. If you think you cannot do better than that outside the military, working a regular job or starting your own company or doing anything else, then the military is good for you. That's basically a dumb cow. Like, so
Yeah.
yeah, man, that zombies is what the military set up for. And I
Yeah.
actually see a lot of veterans because they got out because they didn't want to be a zombie anymore and didn't want to just be a dumb cow following orders. Veterans are actually pretty cool. Not the ones who retired after 20 years, the ones who got out after 4 years. They got the discipline,
Yeah.
you got to see, good training in life, everything like that. But they knew that they can't be a cow, dumb cow or zombie anymore. So they got out after the 4 years. There's actually a lot of veterans who are actually pretty
Even eight
awake.
or 10, yeah, because my nephew got out after 10. But once you get out and you start to say, because he had a family and stuff, but you're right. It's like, and in our opinion, we respect all vets, all men.
Oh, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I give a lot of credit to these guys. They do so much. Alexis, brother, thank you for the support. He says, Jake, when you deployed, how fast did you get notice GWOT was bullshit? Question mark. What is GWOT?
I was going to ask you that. I don't know what
Uh,
GWOT means.
Alexis, if you can give us the words for that acronym, how fast did you notice GWOT? I don't know that acronym. Wow,
Yeah,
Alexis,
me either.
you puzzled us, man. Thank you though, bro, for the support. If you can type in that acronym, I'll highlight it. Yeah, and I
Get
would have
well over time. Get well over time.
get well over time. Oh, okay. How fast did you notice get well over time was bull? Okay, if that's the acronym, yeah, it is kind of
I'm
when you
guessing though. I'm
deployed,
guessing.
how fast did you notice get well over time? So in other words, I guess it's because you're a combat veteran, right, Jake?
Yeah, I don't know what GWOT stands for, though. I don't think it's
I,
get
I
well
think
over
it stands
time.
for get well over time. Oh wait, global war on terror. Oh,
Ah, ah.
so you knew
My
when you were in
mistake, but it
Yeah.
sounds good.
Afghanistan it was BS.
Yeah, Mr. X. I was like, man, it sounds good, but I don't think that's it.
And I didn't. I
Mr.
just
X
taking a
tried. He
guess. Like I said, I was
tried.
taking a guess. I don't know what
He
it
tried.
is.
I'll give it to you. So yeah, global war on terror. So did you know when you were in Afghanistan it was BS or?
Yes. Here's my take on it, man. It's like you go on these patrols all the time, whatever, it's like I thought about it, like, man, if I put myself in these people's shoes, like, let's just say, like, the Russians came over here and all of a sudden, like, they got all their tanks and they start building these makeshift bases around, and all of a sudden, like, they're patrolling our cities. Like, wouldn't you take some pop shots at them if you could? I mean, that's what these people did. I mean, it wasn't like they had these. I mean, sometimes they ambush, some of the, they got these IEDs, improvised explosive devices. They got these things that they just try to make to disable our vehicles. Maybe injure or delete some of us, whatever. And I would too if the Russians came over here, building bases and invade my country, So I don't really, how can you blame them for that? Like, dude, get out of here. You don't belong here because we didn't. And then, there were some civilian contractors that we had to interact with that would bring like some local supplies like to the base. At like some of the bigger bases when I would stop at when we were like at doing we travel a lot through patrol side. There was like a whole region, so a lot of times you're out in these like you have the main base was like a forward operating base, like a fob. Then you have a PB, which is like a patrol base, which is a smaller thing. Then you have like an OP, an outpost, which is just like a tiny. I mean, there's like several people at these outposts, and then patrol base you might have like anywhere from like 20 to 50 people, and then at the fob you're gonna have like a couple hundred to like a few hundred, and then there's bigger even main bases than that, where that have like thousands of people. Those are the people that that's not even a deployment. It's like a little city built out there. But anyway, when you're at some of the fobs, like the forward operating bases, even though they're still like kind of small, a couple hundred, a few hundred people, there's like some local civilian like contractors that would come in and like bring fresh water, like trucks of fresh water or things like that, or whatever, like stuff that you need, like for like fresh supplies. And then so you would talk to him, man, because I'd be standing a post at the main front gate sometimes, that'd be, my post for that day, whatever. And then you'd have to like scan the truck. We had this like scanner thing, whatever, that would like scan for devices. And then we also like searched, like physically like opened up like the boxes that they had like on the trucks, like the toolboxes underneath, like the semi trucks basically and stuff. And we'd have them open up and check and like physically check everything. And but you would interact with the drivers, and eventually you'd see like the driver for a while. They would take out pictures of their family. out of their wallet and like show you their family. And you can, they would, have very, very limited English, or like, we just kind of say hand signals. And, the one guy, would show me a picture of like, it'd be like a little boy, and he would say like, we put his hand on his chest and then like, do like a hand down low, like, oh, that's his son. You know what I mean? Nice, normal people, man. Just because they don't speak English, I mean, they're stupid. But it's just like you get to know some of these people, whatever. Like he's a local guy that like this is his job, whatever. Like so when I'd be working the front post, sometimes he would come through and anyway, man, like that's when I noticed, man. And then you see people riding by on a dirt bike with like 5 people on this one dirt bike, trying to get from like one crappy little village to another crappy little village to get something that they have over there and bring back home. And it's like, dude, are these the people taking my freedom, or is it the people on Capitol Hill taking my freedom? And we know the answer to that if you're not a zombie.
Wow. Yeah, no, I hear you, bro. And woke, who are you, man? Because you changed your name. I don't even remember who this was with a wrench. I don't know who woke 99. Yeah, I'm like, if you could type in your name before
Acronym.
yeah, because I don't know
I wonder if
who he
that's
is.
Bama. I wonder if that's Bama.
No, there's no
Jake?
way I gave Bama a wrench. No way. It's
Oh,
like
you got
I
a
had to
wrench.
revise.
Oh,
Oh,
I didn't see that.
pandemic. That's who it. Holy, good to see you, bro.
Oh, man, that's
Good to
funny.
see you, because I had to revise all the wrenches. I didn't know who was who. Holy smoke, good to see you, bro. That's pandemic. Oh my goodness, thank you. Alexis says, and good to see you, pandemic, brother. Always a pleasure. If you want to hop on, the link is on the top of the chat, bro. Pandemic, you are wow. I was wondering. I said, who is this? I gotta start Christmas. I'm gonna administer a few more and redo it because I didn't know who was who, and I was like, I had to like revise the whole thing. Effing Google Rectus. Alexis says, so Jake, he says, so Jake, you were a zombie before deploying for GWOT so did you know it was BS before you went out there to the global war on terror, or were you like gung-ho, or did you know like it was whack, or did you get there and then realize, yeah, this is BS, like you were zombie before being deployed?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I wouldn't say I was a zombie before because I always questioned authority and always asked questions. I was always curious about stuff, like all throughout school from from time I was even in elementary school. So I wouldn't say I was a zombie. I've always that's why I do kind of think it's something you're born, like you're either born in NP, like what is it called,
Yeah,
NPT,
yeah.
or is it, or no, NPC.
You were
NPC.
kind of aware like me, and then you were like, you're just in, so you got to do your years, to get out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was pumped about joining the Marines because I know you're going to get combat training, survival training, weapons training. You're going to learn a lot of discipline. And I know I needed all that stuff. I was kind of like a crazy teenager, and so I know I needed all those things. And my plan was only to do 4 years because I knew that it wasn't going to be.
Stay in. So you weren't zombie. You knew not to stay in. That was good.
Exactly. From the beginning, I knew, even in high school. So I just, since I was a little kid, I wanted to join the military because of all those things. I just always really respected military guys, and their discipline, the way they carried themselves. I wanted that.
Yeah, the military bearing. I still have it till today. It's like, yeah, there's discipline that they taught us that we are. It's there. And when I see the guys with missing legs and stuff from Vietnam at the VA, it's sad, bro, with the Agent Orange jackets. And
yeah, Andy, I'm sure you walking around, dude, I'm sure you notice, you can kind of tell, I wonder if that guy was a vet. And a lot of times they are, man. It's the way we carry ourselves, the way, we walk, we talk, we operate, whatever. It's like, you can kind of notice veterans. And as a kid, I noticed that, guys who were in the military, they carried themselves a certain way with a certain amount of, your chest out, your shoulders back. They walked tall. They, had a certain level of confidence because they know that they were trained in hand-to-hand combat and weapons training, survival. You just got a certain amount of confidence, and I wanted that,
Oh, no, definitely. You're right, man. Alexis, brother, thank you for the support. He says, MD, Mr. X, Jake, what was the moment you woke up? I'll answer first, and then you guys go. When I was 10, I remember we were in the car, and they were driving on the highway, and it's like you see that people will get nervous around cops, but they're not doing nothing wrong. Maybe they're speeding and stuff. And I knew something was weird. then there was a domestic violence dispute between, I think, my sister and her husband, because they're like 10 years older. And I knew, like, why would people be afraid of the police when we're not doing anything wrong? So why would people be nervous? And as a kid, I could sense it. And it kind of woke me up a little. I was still just ignorant to a lot of stuff, but I knew that things didn't follow the rules, even though I kept falling back into zombieism, thinking that, all right, it can work. And even when I went in the military, I went in the military to leave New York. So I was already knew that, yeah, this is BS, but I was a very good soldier. And I got in trouble like everybody else, and sergeants helped me out. I wanted to be an officer. So if I could have gotten into OCS while I was in there, which I did see a few guys do, I might have actually did better. But eventually I did my time. I got out, got my honorable discharge. And I was aware, but I would be zombie in like certain things like video games from the 90s. And then finally I broke that zombie spell. The food, I was a junk food zombie. And then I broke that spell in the late 90s. So I woke up in pieces like that. So Mr. X and Jake, if, whichever one of you want to go first.
I can go real quick. I can go real quick. So I know Jake likes got some heavy
Yeah,
details.
sure.
But
Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. When I was younger, I just maybe didn't care, but I wouldn't like get so involved or so hyped up about elections and so forth. So I never was really that into it. But I think it's when I read the book None Dare Call a Conspiracy. I think that really kind of woke me up to like the world isn't what we've been told in school. The history of the world is not what it's been said, and that kind of got me looking at things differently, and being more interested in how the world is shaped and formed. I mean, before it was kind of boring, to be honest with you, what I learned in high school. But reading books like that and Under Call Conspiracy, once it changes your opinion, it actually things become a little more interesting because now so it makes sense. It's like we all have this instinctual instinct to want to know the truth. We want to know the truth, whether it be is evolution true or not? Is there a creator? Everything like that. So I think that's always in the back of my mind. But that book really woke me up, I think. So
You said which book was it, Mr. X?
none dare call it conspiracy.
None there call it a
Dare.
oh,
D-A
none
dare.
dare call it a conspiracy theory.
Call it conspiracy. Not theory,
Call
but
it.
just call it conspiracy. Yeah, it's a
Mm.
great book. It was built in the 60s, started by a grassroots movement. No major publisher would publish it. So but it really breaks down everything. You read that book, it'll change your whole views on how the world is shaped completely.
None dare call it a conspiracy, and it
None
was
dare call it
published.
conspiracy.
And it was
I forget the
published
name.
in the 1960s.
I believe it was in the 1960s. Yeah.
Wow. And when did you read that book? How old were you?
Oh, I was maybe in my 30s. I don't know, early 30s.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like 1923. I'm just kidding.
No, it was before
like
that. It was
early
before that.
2000s, right?
Like
around
1910, 1910.
Yeah.
1910.
Maybe.
So I guess that was early 2000s you read that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That really changed my views on the whole world.
Do you remember who wrote it?
I can look it up. I could Google it right now.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, let me
that's
take
cool.
a little Google. I
Jake,
just don't remember the name of it.
Yeah. How'd you wake up, Jake?
Man, so a small, like, I guess, minor awakening is when I would be in line at the grocery store. They put like those tabloid magazines about like the celebrities and like what they're doing or like who they got married to, or whatever. I always like thought it was weird that like adults cared that much about what other adults are doing and like in their personal life. Like, who cares what this one guy is doing? Like, who, you know what I mean? Like, who cares what celebrity is marrying what celebrity or whatever? Like, I thought that was kind of weird. But the thing that I would say, like, the one defining moment that woke me up, I was always curious about, like, small things like that. The one defining moment that woke me up is that I think it was sixth grade or seventh grade. We had to do a report on anything we wanted. I chose to do it on the pyramids because I, always thought they were interesting, but we never really learned much about them. We just like kind of glossed over them. Like, yeah, they exist and they're in Egypt and that's it. You know what I mean? It's like, and there's some hieroglyphs out there that look kind of cool, but we never really dove into it. But I always thought it was fascinating. So I did a report on the pyramids. Came back with all these crazy facts. Once you start looking into it, I came out with all these facts. And like, hey, it's got to be informational because we had to do a report, and then we had to do this like a thing where we teach the class on it. We basically like read a report, like stood up and read it in front of the class or whatever. And so everyone was like pretty much like zombied out in my class, and there was like one or two other kids that are actually interested in what I was talking about. And I remember the teacher was scared as I was reading this, and I'm like, she's like, no, that can't be true. That, all these crazy facts about the pyramids, if you do, some research on them. And then the teacher was scared, like, no, that can't be. I said, no, I did what you said. I cited it. I verified everything by 3 different sources, all these facts in here. Like, I did the report how you told me to do. Like, these are facts. This isn't just like one book that said this, because it's back when we had books and libraries where I had to, actually research the stuff, and we could also use the internet too, but we had to have at least 3 books, and then the internet could be like another thing, whatever, if you wanted to cite it, you had to. But anyway, so you had to verify with at least 3 independent sources. And the teacher just didn't believe it. She was like scared and freaking out. And like, I didn't even get to finish reading my report because the teacher was scared. And there was a couple kids that were interested, like, well, what? I wanted to hear what else was said. And then the rest of the class was like just zombified. Like, they didn't care, right? So like 90% of the class, 95% class didn't care. Me, who was like fascinated about it, obviously, I was fascinated. There was, one kid that was kind of interested, another kid that was like really fascinated by it too. And then the teacher was scared. That woke me up. Like, what? You don't want to know the truth? You'd rather bury the truth under the rug and live in ignorance and bliss than know the truth. And that's when I realized that's how most adults are. That's why they just walk through life and they just look at this person is marrying that person. Look at what's going on in the news. Look at that. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about finding out about reality. They would rather be distracted by these stupid things and live in ignorance and bliss. So that woke me up. And then I knew, like, I can't trust most of these people. That's when I really felt like, I don't know what these creatures are different than me. I feel like I'm a human being with independent critical thought, and these things are just accepting whatever radio waves, television waves are being programmed into their head through the ether. These things are not operating on independent critical thought. These other creatures in the world. That's when I really first felt like that.
Wow, that's deep, man. That's deep. Thank you, Alexis, for
Oh, it's
and we'll
Gary
add in
Allen who wrote the book.
Who'd you say?
Gary Allen wrote the book, None Dare Call It Conspiracy. It's on Amazon, actually. It's
None
120 pages.
None dare call it a conspiracy.
None dare call it conspiracy.
Conspiracy.
Gary Allen. None dare call it conspiracy.
By Gary
Allen.
I'm putting it in the chat for Nazi. He wanted it. And Azrun, if you want to tell your zombie story as a bonus for Alexis Jim. Alexis does say, I noticed veterans almost always walk fast-paced. Why? I think it's because we were taught to walk at a pace, like you swing your arms to where they go back behind your thigh, like about, I think, 8 inches, and you have like a certain stride. And of course, you're standing erect, and you're walking at a good pace. So you're not lackadaisical. You're always taught to be like, you're fit, and you're right at the moment where you can jump into double time.
Well, on alert. That's great. Yes, MD, you nailed it. Not lackadaisical.
Exactly, on alert. And I still walk like that today, man. It's been 20 something years, 30 years since I've been in the military, and it's just I love it. I think about some of the stuff now, and I'm like, thank goodness, especially when the fact that I have health care because I'm a veteran. It just, and when I was in, I was like, oh, I'll never be a lifer and this and that. If I was an officer, I would have, I wanted to. It would have been really good. When did you guys know dating coaches are a scam? Oh, Alexis, thank you for the support, brother. I knew right off the bat. So I was very experienced with women. I have, cousins and sisters and stuff like that. And right when I saw that, I have to admit, Face and LMS was part of the equation. But I noticed when I used to see these guys that look like monsters, you see like Hogwood and these other guys, and it's like, you look at them, the Dirty Eddie and them, it's like, there's no way. It's like, what are you talking about? There's nothing they can do to get women. And it's knowing behind the scenes, because I knew before time what their girlfriends and wives looked like. They were basically married. And I didn't say nothing at first. And 21 Closets and them would, talk about it. So I knew when I came into the space, my first live stream with Dippin and who else? I think Tony Snow was on the stream. Jawara was in the chat. And Red Pill Rebellion. He had a channel, and he was just a straight. He was another, grifter. Once they said game, the games, I'm like, well, what is this BS? A girl's gotta like you. So I knew right off the bat it was a scam, and that's when I started roasting. And Base Pluto was like, yo, this is the #1 PUA anti-PUA channel and stuff. So yeah, for me it was that. If Mr. X and Jake Mr. X, you want to tell?
I am the same way with my experience with women because I never really had great social skills. To be honest with you, I certainly didn't have the gift of gab, but I met women, and usually they showed interest in me first, and that's how it just made it easy. So
Yeah.
when I heard other stuff like you got to run up to them and start talking all this nonsense, it's like, what is this? I never did that. You know what I mean? I never had to do
Yeah.
that. So it's like,
So you knew right away.
yeah.
Yeah. If Jake, I think Jake is muted for you.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I had, plenty of experience with women before I even found out about dating coaches. And then I just thought like, oh man, maybe because every once in a while you would think like, oh man, things just didn't work out. I didn't hook up with that girl. I was just trying to hook up with as many women as I could when I was younger. And I think, oh man, like I almost hooked up with her. I almost got her back to my place, but then like, something happened. I was like, maybe if I like learned some of these techniques, I could hook up with even more women. And so I actually like, tried learning whatever, but it's like, dude, the things that they were just teaching are just BS. Like I just knew like, okay, well that's not going to work, but this is stupid. So, you tell like these guys did not have experience with women, but every once in a while they say something that was like decent, advice. So you get like a little, it would like lure me in a little bit like, okay, maybe there's some information here that they know. That's good. But realistically, it was like a waste of time. And then like, so then I was just like, all right, man, this is BS. I don't know why I waste my time, trying to watch YouTube videos of these guys, whatever, and this is when, RSD was still around. It was RSD and then their name after it. And they all had like YouTube channels and it was just like a bunch of stuff for free, whatever. I never bought any of the courses or anything. So, it was just like BS. But I used to watch stuff for free. And basically I was just like, all right, man, this stuff is stupid. Like, and then I realized that like, right off the bat, like the guy whose name is Tyler, you could tell he was not hetero guy, whatever. I knew that right off the bat, so I didn't even like watching his channel at all, whatever. But there were a couple other ones that like at least seemed like they were hetero, and so I was like, okay, let me listen to this. But their advice was BS. So anyway, yeah, man, it didn't take long to figure that out. And then I saw Andy's channel where somebody's dating coach's head over a pig's head being roasted like a pig, like a Hawaiian barbecue thing. I still remember seeing it for the first time. Like, whoa, that's somebody's dating coach's heads. That's what I think about these guys too. Let me click on this guy, but it'll be funny. And the best entertainment on YouTube during Conan. Woo! That's when I came over to the truth and reality. I'm like, now these people are talking about stuff that makes sense, man. So yeah, man, it didn't take long for me to realize it.
Can I say one thing about that? Because I listened on the audio version of Neil Strauss The Game, but I only got to the first few chapters and I haven't gone back since. But just listening to the first few chapters, it doesn't sound hetero at all. He described Mystery, the guy who gets mysteries in the beginning of the book, and he described when he met Mystery, he was wearing a small little robe that you could see his body and his chest. And it's like, what the hell is this? This
Are you
doesn't sound
serious? I
straight.
never
Yeah,
read the
if you look,
book. That's crazy.
listen to the first few chapters of Neil Strauss The Game. It's like he met Mystery, and Mystery was wearing a small little robe that could barely fit him, and you could see his body. And it's like, what the hell is this? And it's like, wasn't hetero either. It's like, so what the heck? I think it was
MD,
just, yeah.
Oh man, yeah, Ezra, yeah.
can I tell my story about how like I unzombified or maybe next time or something like that?
Yeah, no, you can tell it.
Yeah,
Just
let's
give me
go,
a
Ezra.
second. Yeah, just give me 2 minutes. Alexis, brother, thank you for the support. When did you guys wake up to the red pill in being invaded and taken over? Also, can you all give a story of when you discovered the true nature of women? Definitely. And then Azroon, we'll add you, you can go in this too. The red pill being invaded, when I wrote the black pill in 2021, I Face in LMS was definitely part of the equation in this. I have to admit, I give him a lot of credit. I hope he comes back. but I knew it was invaded because I was saying, wait a second, what they're saying is they were preaching game. They were like, oh, you got to game your wife and stuff like that. So I said, you know what? I had already wrote the 48 Laws of Dating. And that was in 2020 of like May, June, because I started the stream in March 2020. But I was on the internet going on other panels. I went on Face and LMS in 2019 with the same channel. So I started to realize, like, wait a minute, because he was even like, look, you know, we're no longer red pill. He used to be red pill. He said they are black pill. And that was around, I think, when I went on the channel. I think it was like right on the cusp with CBP, who was still like floating around. He's kind of, you know, closet or something. And but Face was, you know, me and him and I, we had a really good conversation.
Yeah, CPP is definitely closet or something.
Oh yeah, full blown. Yeah, that guy, and he's still lurking. But so when I wrote the Black Pill, it was I explained the whole story. I said, actually, it was Incel TV that we used to write on email, and he was really cool with me, and Tony Snow. And they were like, bro, after they heard me on Face and LMS, they go, look, man, you got to do a live stream. And this was December of 2019. And actually on What Attracts Woman 5 still has he still put the app that I made for the dictionary. That's on because he was like, look, he'll promote it. I thank him so much. And
WAW was a classic, a black pill classic.
And we got to be careful, like, you know, definitely staying within YouTube guidelines to, you know, to say, look, this is just our opinion. This is just, you know, to say within the guidelines that the Black Pill, I said, you know what? I need to publish this. I need to make sure this is out there to help the guys, to prevent them from being taken advantage of from the dating coaches. So it was like right on, I was already awakened in 2019 and even 2018. And so I was like, yeah, wait a second. I said, this is where it's at, because there's no saving the red pill. They were just too many of the dating roaches the cockroaches had infested it. So we had to retreat to the Black Pill to say, okay, the Black Pill is the truth. This is the metaphor for the truth. And so I would say it was about between 2018 and 2019 was the cusp for me. And so Pandemic said he woke up with PUA. Yeah, because Incel TV, he explained to me that PUA hate came from how they ripped off the Inkwells mystery in them. So they formed a website called PUA Hate, and then that got deleted, and then they started SUL Sut Hate. I don't want to say the word .com. That got, you know, crashed, that website. Roosh V, basically the Duke of Date Grape, he had Return of Kings, which that got demonetized by Google. So he stopped doing that because he couldn't even make money off the website. But he was a grifter totally with Rolo and them, in my opinion. And yeah, so I woke up after, like, I wasn't in the sphere. Like Pandemic was in here like way before us, man, way before us. And I'm gonna do all these wrenches on Christmas Day. I'm gonna, you know, hook you guys up. Thank you so much. You know, I didn't know who that was in Pandemic, but yeah, I woke up around. Well, I knew the red pill was being invaded when Incel TV, he broke down the whole thing. I added in on my part. I did the research and said, wait a minute, it came from the truthers. So the 9/11 truthers were the ones that said, oh, if you believe the government story, you're blue pill. This was in 2004 on MySpace. So they were the ones that brought it from the matrix to cyberspace. And they said, you're red pill if you know that the towers and stuff like this. Then the PUAs got a hold of the red pill, and that's when they took it over. And that's when I wrote the Black Pill saying, okay, they took it over. Then the Black Pill had to be created to save the integrity of the pill metaphor. Until this day, the reason the black pill cannot be infiltrated is because we have the example of how the red pill was infiltrated from the blue pill. So the fact that we have that example and it's published in the black pill book, it lets us know that, okay, they're not going to go further. So it stops right there. And that's how I woke up. But if you guys want to answer, yeah, if you guys can answer how you like, when did you know what Alexis is saying? And thank you, Alexis, for the support, brother. So when did you guys know that the red pill was being invaded and taken over? If let me see.
Want me to go? I'll go.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
honestly, I didn't know about the red pill until I found your channel, MD. I credit your book a lot about female nature. Just because I dealt with women didn't mean necessarily understood female nature. Um, engaging
Mhm.
with women doesn't mean you're going to really understand them.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
give a lot of credit to your book, The 48 Laws of Dating, for that. And but yeah, I wasn't really big on the red pill. I never the only PUA stuff I'd see some pickup stuff, and I thought it was entertaining. But some pickup videos. But other than that, I really kind of found out about all this stuff listening to your channel, and how deep it went, like so many guys were getting taken advantage of. I didn't even know. You know what I mean? I was kind of oblivious to it, to be honest with you, because I was just never really in that state where I felt like I needed a dating coach. I never got there. So yeah. Hello? Am I the only one here?
I'm here. I'm here. You can hear
Oh,
me,
okay.
Mr. X?
Yeah, now I can hear you. I just want to make sure I can hear everybody. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents. How about you guys,
Yeah,
Varun?
yeah.
Since everybody,
Varun, yeah. What was your unzombification, and then when you realized the red pill invaded the blue pill, like when you saw the infiltration, and then I think Jake's doing something. So yeah, go right ahead, Azra.
Regarding the unzombification, when I was in school, I got interested in metaphysics very slowly. Like I was reading about Buddhism, then I got interested in Christianity as well. Then my mother said that you're disconnecting from your roots too. You have to listen to the story. So what happened was that my great grandfather, she told me about his story. Like when you're sleeping, he got a dream. In the dream, someone communicated with him telepathically to come to this certain place. So those days there were no automobiles, so he went in his chariot. So having a chariot itself was a luxury. So he went all the way, and he went at least something like 20 kilometers from where we stayed. Then he removed the rock. That person who came in his dream told him to remove the rock. He removed it, and he saw someone meditating over there underground for God knows for how long. He said, many people are coming over here and playing around, and they're disturbing my penance. So build a temple over here. So he built a temple over there. And our family looks after that temple till for a very long time. I didn't know what was the specialty about that temple, but then I got to know that under the temple is a yogi who's been meditating for God knows how many years without food and water. So then that was one story. When I was in high school, I got to know that. Then when I came to 10th, my friend told me that one person was attacked by some gang, and they took a stick or something like that and they hit his back. The stick broke. We were being taught yoga that time in our school. So went and asked this to the teacher, yoga teacher. See, I heard the story about a person. He was being attacked and they took a stick and broke, and when they hit his back, it broke. So he said, is this possible? He said, yeah, through yoga there are some siddhis called ashta siddhis, where you can attain it, and you can transcend the realm of the you can transcend the normal realm. So then after that, I read one book on agora, and slowly I had many bitter experiences. I got unzombified because of all of this, and realized that the world is not what it is, and it is too huge, and it's actually like very crazy if you see the way things are from behind the scenes. And regarding the red pill, actually, I used to subscribe to a lot of red pill. I used to listen to Sandman and Micto 101, but then I was like dissatisfied with their answers. Like I used to always think the West has so much in abundance. They've got so much of wealth and prosperity. Why are women doing this and whatnot? Then when I came on Incel TV, I slowly got to know that MGTOWs are also incels, and women value looks a lot actually, and they value height as well, because I kept getting rejected. I'm short and 5'8". So like then I realized that the black pill is really true actually regarding looks. And then I saw Amar Mithwali's channel. I mean, Amar Mithwali had commented something on Elliot Roger the day Incel TV made a video about Elliot Roger and how his parents had failed him. Then I clicked on Amar Mithwali. Then I got to know about MD, and then that's how slowly I got black pill to about everything.
Wow, that's amazing, man. When Jake comes back on, he's muted right now. Whenever he wants to add in, he can. And thank you, Alexis, man. I appreciate for the question. Yeah, this is real, man. Red Blur, good to see you, brother. He said sounds like Hamza. Yeah, I appreciate the input. Let me see. You guys are talking about. No, it's not that, and this is why I wrote the book, The Black Pill. This is why I wrote that, to explain all of this, because you guys know, well, I don't know if you know, Guy of the Sage, that I've written several books in different genres to where dating and relationships, I keep it separate from the knowledge books that I have, which the Human Origins book will be written under Sidney Prince. Max Doubt is the researcher. It was the one that asked the questions, the investigator. Sidney Prince is the researcher. So it's like Clark Kent and Superman. So I have both of my alter ego, and then the Superman, which is Sidney Prince, writing Spellcaster, Secret Words, and the Human Origins book, which will be shocking by Christmas. Hopefully I will have this. I'm pushing every day and doing streams every night. So that's the only thing, is that streams. And I love doing the streams with you guys, man. It's like, it's a pleasure, man. So that's what it is about the thing. Alexis, brother, thank you for the support. He says, when do y'all wake up to religion being zombified? I was aware, like as a kid, I kind of knew, like I've always found existence to be very odd. And when I was a kid, and I was young, man, like 7 or 8, because I never, I grew up very, very frugal. Like I didn't have a lot. Like I was always taught to be thankful that you have food, shelter, and clothing. And I would have to wear the hand-me-downs from my older cousin in Brooklyn, who was 2 years older. And because I didn't have clothes, and I would be getting the cheap sneakers from a store my mother would bring me to that had all these sneakers on a big table. Like it was just thrown on the table. They were new, but they were like, very cheap, $2 sneakers and stuff. And I was just happy to have new sneakers, Pro Keds, basic stuff. I had to buy my first set of Pumas in high school with my own money. But when I said to myself, I said, existence is very odd. So I said to myself, well, I forgot if it was one of my older siblings or somebody that told me, you create reality. Like we create it with our thoughts. And I thought, okay, if that's true, then there would be a sneaker company called Oshkosh, and I thought of a word like that, like just some weird word that couldn't actually exist, to say, there's a sneaker company, because Pro Keds were the sneakers and Converse of my day when I was very, very young. This is talking 7 years old. And I never thought about it. I said Oshkosh, Come to find out decades later, Oshkosh is actually a company that was started in the late 1800s, like 1896 or something. And when I found that out like a couple of years ago, I was like, wow. It makes me wonder. Reality is very odd. Alan Watts, studying him and his philosophy, also brought into the fact of that, where he was like, reality is very odd. And the fact that when I ordered his tape series in the late 90s and called up to buy the whole cassette tapes for $200 and something, I got his son on the phone, his eldest son, Lee Harvey Watts, and he was researching what he called 125,000-year-old hieroglyphs of Aboriginal art in Australia. Now, of course, I know the evolutionary timeline is totally, it's just a fairy tale. But the fact that I ran into that, so I woke up as a kid to religion because I was forced to, my family has different religions. So I have people that are of 2 or 3 different religions, aunts, uncles, grandmother on different sides, my parents. So I got to see a few different religions. I got to see, Christian, Catholic, Hinduism. So I experienced, I never was forced. Like when I was very young, I remember we went to an apostolic church for a little. My sister is Roman Catholic, married in St. John of God. I was a young child at her wedding. So I never adhered to any. And I thank goodness, maybe it was because my parents got divorced when I was around 8, that I was able to not have to adhere to this. So it freed me. So I was awakened from religion, being zombie. I was a very young age. I knew that it was more, I don't know if to call it a spiritual thing, but existence is very odd. I know that there's, for sure, without any doubt, I can feel it, that it goes beyond the physical. It goes, the fact that I'm here was always very odd. It was like a dream, like very, very odd since I was young. So I've experienced very amazing stuff. And then also experimenting with psychedelics in the military. And when I came out, it opened my mind to where it was like, wow, this is an amazing trip that I'm going through, rowing my boat merrily down the stream, because life is just a dream and beyond a dream, beyond what we think. So that's my story of waking up to being zombified about religion. If anybody wants to go next, Mr. X, Azroon, or Jake, if you guys are still there.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Do you want to talk about your when did you wake up to religion being zombified? And I saw
Sure,
how other
sure.
people were zombified. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I think that started actually at an early age because I saw the hypocrisy in the whole thing. They're preaching love at the church, but then the people there are anything but. They're mostly hypocritical.
Okay, so that was your thing. All right, Azroon.
MD, yeah, regarding that, actually, like it happened slowly over a period of time, because whenever religion will be started by a sincere seeker, it always starts like this: a sincere seeker of truth meditates and goes through a lot of difficult experiences, and then he starts preaching, and his preachers create the cult around him. Slowly it becomes organized, and then it becomes into a commercial entity. So the priestly class in every religion are scoundrels. That's what I got to know. And then over a period of time, they would only fight for land, money, power, and women in the name of religion. Then I realized that something is not right here. And then I realized organized religion is a scam. If you want to seek God, you have to do it on your own. So after after reading a lot of history, I got to know that organized religion only creates zombies, actually. It happened over a period of time. It didn't happen suddenly. Gradually it happened, actually.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sorry about that. I got a call in the middle of
Yeah,
the
yeah. No, I
thing. I
just saw the
apologize for
private
that.
chat. I think Jake is on a call. So
Yeah,
Jake,
but that was it was is the hypocrisy in the church. I think that even as a young kid, it's like, what is this? The people aren't practicing what they preach, and I saw the hypocrisy, and I think that's what kind of unzombified me. That
yeah.
no, no.
I think
But
mine was,
there is a creator though. There is a mind outside the human mind.
yeah, there's
No ifs,
something
ands,
that
or buts
definitely
about it.
goes beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely you're not that guy. What's up, bro? How you doing, man?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Pretty
Good, good,
How you doing?
Yeah, man.
Hello.
good.
Welcome to the show. Any thoughts on some of the stuff when you woke up about zombified, about religion, or about the red pill being invaded, taken over, or know that dating coaches are a scam? or yeah. So the moment we woke up, or anything else you have on your mind?
Yeah, so basically about the red pill being invaded, like it's always these guys. Like I noticed a pattern. It's always these guys who have a "woe was me," "I was a loser," "I was a nerd," "I was bullied in high school." It's always a guy that has that story, that fucking storyline, bro.
All right, we don't want to curse, but you know, I'm
Sorry,
just
sorry, 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 sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
But it's
yeah.
always the same pattern.
Mm-hmm. So,
But what about the dating coaches who take advantage of those guys? How do you feel about them?
I Yeah, you know what? Their karma is going their way, man. When you take a guy that's confused and you fuck him over, sorry, and you screw him over like that, and out of the thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
like isn't it what Anthony Johnson? What you know? What does he even have a convention anymore? Because I haven't heard from him.
I don't think so. I think they fell off hard, man.
Williams and Johnson.
Yeah, yeah.
Nah, it's very screwed up, man. Like, you guys remember White Pill with his
I
46,000?
Yeah,
I
I
remember in
remember.
his banana suit.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, Coach
Nah,
White, right?
yeah, a lot of those guys. Listen.
Wilder.
I believe in karma, and a lot of these guys, their karma, it's on its way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, karma's real, man. Karma is real. Karma's definitely, the older people get, if they become wise, they realize karma's real. It is a real thing, bro. And
Do unto
that's why
others.
it's always good to do good and to do what's right, because I remember saying when I was younger, what comes around goes around. Something had happened to me, and I talked to a friend, and I was telling him, and he goes, "Listen, man, what comes around goes around." I was about 17 or 16, and he told me that, and I didn't realize what it really meant. But so in other words, he was saying, "Look, man, you don't need to try to seek revenge." Kind of like, what was it, Lao Tzu or Confucius? They said, if you go to seek revenge, dig two graves, one for you and one for him, or one for the other person that you're seeking revenge on, whoever it is, man or woman, or animal or something. Because we know tigers have been known to seek revenge. It's one of those animals that will wait years and stalk you. Extremely smart animal. Like I think it was in India that they had one that was like going to different towns, offing one person at a time and then moving. I mean, like a serial ender. Just amazing intelligence on this being, the tiger. So yeah, man, it's good that yeah, it's amazing. And thank you for coming on the show, bro. And yeah. So any other thoughts or that you want to express?
Well, I would say one thing that sort of woke me up was during the well, it was actually before the pandemic, realizing the reality of money, that who really holds the money, that's who really has the power here. Like they'll try to tell you that all these movements, political movements, were done by the people at the bottom. No, they all had a rich financier backing them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what was it? The Joker that had that great line. He said that having like something about money. He goes, it's not the money. He goes, it's convincing somebody that money, billions of dollars, is power. Like it's basically
Yeah.
the mental spell of it. And I understand, like, if you're not doing trade and barter, you're basically because it should be trade and barter. But when you look at the universal thing, you start to say to yourself, okay, money, it's a psychological thing, because if you could grow almost everything you need in a certain area. I mean, you might need to make salt. You can actually get salt from the sea. You can dry out stuff and salt. There's ways to get that and grow what you need. So there is there's ways to be sustainable. When they say, "Oh, we need this shipped in and all," we don't need it. Why? That's a luxury, basically. So when you look at cultures like tribal cultures, you see that you can get everything you need from your area. It's not going to be luxurious, but you'll have enough. And it would be nice to have connections with other peoples. You get different things. But it all goes back to existence. Why are we here? Alexis, brother, thank you for the support, man. He says, what happened to Steph is Cold and Coach Red Pill? Coach Red Pill was ended from what I heard. There's a video on YouTube that I think it might still be up. He was very outspoken about the thing overseas in the country he was at over there with the stuff. I don't want to say the area, but where he stayed in like the Slavic area. So he was ended. They have videos on that. Steph is Cold. I don't know. I haven't looked up about him. I don't know if he's still around. I don't know if Mr. X or Jake Azroon had the
Never even heard of him before.
Yeah, he's a guy that was Black Ram and those guys used to he was part of that network. But yeah, Red Pill, he got ended as far as what they say. The videos are out there, Alexis, on that. It's some deep stuff. But yeah, Steph is Cold. I'm not sure exactly. I remember he was around. He was actually doing very well for a while. He was pretty big channel, but again, he was grifting hard about like, oh, you can get the girl. And Steph is Cold was a tiny dude, wasn't nothing. He was muscular, but it's like we already know. It's like Black Pill is real. But yeah, man, Steph is Cold. I think Jake is on a call. But thank you, brother, for the support, Alexis, man. Nazi said he still reads the Bible, hasn't been to church. Sons of God, good to see you, man. Everybody in the chat, if I didn't acknowledge you, man, thank you for being here. Good to see you. It's been such a good show. It's going so well, actually.
Yeah, shout out to Alexis June, man. He's keeping it rolling.
Man, definitely, man. I thank him so much for the support, bro. And Christmas, I'm gonna, make sure everything is, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna go through everything and make sure everybody's cool. Alexis, man, thank you for the support, brother. He says, was Coach Red Pill a puppet or telling the truth? He had a few things that he did tell the truth on, like with social. He had a video, I remember, because he was back in like 2019, I think. And he charted his growth. I don't know how he grew so quick. He got over 100,000 subs within a few months, I think. Within a year, he was at 100,000. And because I remember, who was it? Greg Adams grew too. I saw these guys grow, Better Bachelor and stuff like that, because they didn't say nothing against the PUAs, and they played it safe. Me, I was kind of just going straight firing from the hip on guys. And so was Coach Red Pill a puppet or telling the truth? That there was some stuff that he made sense on, but other stuff he was kind of puppeting. When he got political and started to because you got to know where you're at. It's kind of like when guys make these videos saying the 13 families and all of that, great. But imagine if guys were talking about mafia families. They would be ended. If they were naming mafia families that are in the shadows right now, they ain't gonna last that long. And Red Pill started talking about some stuff that politically, I think it was the police over there in the Slavic country that took it to him. But as a puppet, he did say some stuff that was kind of dating coachish. There was the name Coach Red Pill, so the coach part of the name. He did have a girl that was, older. You could see she wasn't, top tier and stuff. So he was kind of overseas maxing, but I think he also had lineage from that area, Slavic lineage. I'm not sure, but some of the stuff he was kind of on. And other stuff he was puppet. So I would say, he had a lot of puppet stuff. There was definitely some puppet in there, without a doubt. Thank you, brother, for the support. I appreciate it, man. Yeah. And if anybody else knows about Coach Red Pill, or if you know anything about that, You could add that in. 97, I think it is. So you're not that guy. Yeah, not that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else on your mind or anything?
Oh yeah. What do you guys think of that recent interview with Milo Yiannopoulos? He was dropping the names of, like, he went on Tim Pool's podcast and he was dropping the names of conservatives who are closeted.
Oh, really? No, I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, he's a gay conservative, and he basically went on Tim Pool's podcast and talked about all the high profile conservative figures that are allegedly in the
I
closet.
heard something about Grinder with Nick Fuentes, and this is in our opinion and within YouTube guidelines. This is definitely we are discussing our opinion.
That wouldn't surprise me, MD, if he was on Grinder.
I don't know. Yeah, because I heard people talking about it with Nick. Is that what you're talking about? That guy?
Yeah, him. Oh man, so many of these guys are who are in these right wing conservative circles are getting caught having Grinder profiles. And I wanted to ask, do you guys think also the reason why women are the way they are, it's because I would say half of the male population.
Oh no, yeah, I saw your comment on that. This is what these guys prefer. It has nothing to do with women. It has nothing to do. When guys, Master Yoda used to bring out that truth, because for 35 years, I think it is, he's been escort maxing. And so you can always do that. So when a guy says, "Oh, it's because women don't like it," no, that's not. No, This is, because think about it. If you had money, or even if you didn't, say you were working a regular job, would you do that? If you're going to do that, then that's what it's saying that you like it to an extent. You accept it at the least. You could say, all right, I'm going to be with a woman once a week or once a month even, or even once a year if you're paying, but you're not going on the other side. You're not like Lou Reed made the song, "Take a Walk on the Wild Side."
I remember that. No. But what I'm trying to ask is basically, do you think women have become the way they become because so many guys are secretly?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's because they like what they like. It's like, think about it. They got to carry the child. Yeah. So why would you want to carry, something that was, women they have the key to that. They hold the key to the sexual relationship. Men hold the key to the monogamy, to the marriage. And if you give up your key, now they have both. So when you look at it, and social media has put this on steroids, basically. Alexis asks, is Darius M a fraud? In my opinion, yes. In my opinion, he is playing on pushing guys with hate. I used to call him like a tall version of Gary Coleman from Different Strokes, what you're talking about, Willis. And and nothing against him personally. This is his behavior, and this is my opinion, to stay within YouTube guidelines. He is misleading men. He's playing on their anger, or like Rehab Room ITV says, they prey on the misery of men. And when somebody can see that, they can manipulate guys very easily. And that's how all of these guys do it. Tomasi, 21 Closets, Beak and Frog, all of them do that. And it's wrong. Tate, what Tate did, I mean, he openly said how he would manipulate guys monetarily. And it was sad. It was really sad. They prey on the misery of men. And this is where, because I said that and was defending men and saying, look, man, we need to be helping and saying, look, man, this is not right. We need to, like I've said many times, we need to care about each other more. Yeah, we should be able to criticize. Without a doubt, we got to be able to criticize. How can we grow? And learn, tell guys, look, this is how you take criticism to grow, because being a man is about maturity. And that's when I coined the term, when I said, look, these guys are not men. They are males. They are full-grown, dangerous males. Because if you're not mature, you can be dangerous. Anytime we engage in hostility and something that is aggressive, that is not being mature. We should. It goes without saying that if you're attacked, you have to defend yourself physically. You should know how to defend yourself. But Tim Larkin actually has a good channel where he's like, you can evade problems. There's only a few times, if anybody can remember, that you've been cornered and you had to fight. It's the ego that really pushes a person, and you don't want to get into that. You especially, if you have somebody there with you that you got to defend. If you falter, then that person is defenseless. So the best thing to do is to try to get to safety. So Darius, in my opinion, he is not doing men a benefit, and he's hurt because just like Adam's family, the coach Adam's family, they both had children with women that what about just raising their kids? And I've said that about Spurgeezy and other guys. It's like they shouldn't be even really using all the time on the internet, because that's time away from raising their children. And this is the maturity. This is the maturity of the reality of what's going on. When we see it with these guys, they're I mean, just the amount. Oh, Mr. X, you had something?
I was saying that Spurgeezy, he's a sad case, man. He's a really sad case. He's got nothing, man. He's got nothing just to go against other regular guys just trying to have a stream and talk about no life. You know what I mean? He's really got no life.
It's really
That's the
sad.
epitome of a loser. That is really the epitome of a loser.
Yeah,
It's
so
the
it's
best
really
he can do
sad.
in life. Yeah.
Yeah, I can only hope that he really finds the goodness, or he becomes mature. And and we respect all. It's like, Nazi, you're still a Christian. Hey, respect to you, respect to Muslims, respect to Judeans, Hindus. Azarun's Hindu. There are good and bad in all religions. In all religions, we call out all of that. We say, look, we know there's good people in the world. The majority, we see how people have been turned. And we are the survivors in the zombie apocalypse of the mentally dead. And we're saying, look, everybody has been a little bit zombified, but anybody's welcome to come on. That's why there's not many channels that'll pin the StreamYard link to the top and let people on like that. Once I produce this book on human origins, it's going to get, people are going to be like, wow, so that's where the evidence leads. It definitely leads towards not evolution. We know that that's a pseudo-scientific fairy tale. It just and the government does have a lot to do with it. It has a lot to do with it, man. We know that government means mind control, mental restriction, govern, to restrict, to limit, mente, mind. And I understand spirituality, without a doubt. You don't have to go to church. If people talk about spiritual, this becomes the church. So, if people are honest about it, and I don't think people need that. They just need to really trust in themselves. Rule number 1, love thyself. Andrew Wilson, first time, and no one to speak easy. Like, speak easy. They are carbon, without a doubt, Timbo. And good to see you, brother. Yeah, that is just, Alexis says, what are healthy hobbies for young men to do? Video games and movies seem like zombie machines. Going out with friends to clubs is just a waste of time and money. What can we do? I say, with the internet at our hands, the best thing that men can do is use it to learn about things that are, one, there is so much research on the internet that's free, where we can find out about how pollution affects people. So pollution in the food, in the air, in the water, and the land. These are very important. There's a book that I had bought a while ago called The 100-Year Lie. And it was recommended by a fellow YouTuber years ago. And it talks about, I was reading some of it today, where the FDA, and this is in my opinion, that 51% of the stuff they approve have serious side effects that later on people find out. So research on stuff like the medicine and the alternative on how to make themselves well. Like how Mr. X talked about the book that we highlighted, None Dare Call It Conspiracy by Gary Allen, stuff like that. Clothing. There's a very, very big thing about clothing. You don't want to wear spandex, polyester. There are videos that talk about the effects that has on the body. The pollution in the air, that's a hard one. An air filter in the home. There are certain types of stuff. I had got one that actually emits, there's little hydrogen peroxide type of things that they are expensive. Like if you buy them 3 at a pop, you get it cheaper, but they actually cleanse the air. They more than filter it, they cleanse it. Like they'll so the food, the clothing, the air, even the bed. When people sleep on certain mattresses, it lets off if it's has a certain chemical in it. So you want to get something more natural there. The bed sheets, you want linen. Linen is a healing. There's actually good books on fabric. So I would recommend, instead of the video games and the movies and stuff like that, one is researching it. And if they were if they really like video games, learn how to create them to teach people. So to say, maybe not a game, but maybe an app. Become a content creator. That's another thing that helps, because people that will help people, Alexis, I will help promote their channel. We can promote each other. We can create a network of people, a network of survivors, basically. So these are a few things I would recommend, and I'll make a list of them too, man. I appreciate everything, man. I appreciate you, man. The stuff, this is what it's about. It's us helping each other, saying, yeah, we don't want to play video games. If we're watching movies, it's only movies that will help us become aware. And we should take notes on certain movies, like how we all know, okay, you gave a wonderful list of movies, the secret words and stuff like that, the anagrams, to learn. So the learning will supplement. It actually fills the need from the spare time, because what do they say? Idle time is the devil's mill. Or, they have these sayings that's what gets people. Being bored is resisting existence. A martial arts teacher told me that in the 90s. And I was like, wow, that is deep. He goes, anytime you feel you're bored, you're resisting the fact that you're existing. There's why are you doing that? He goes, when you walk, feel the earth under your feet. And he even fell to the dark side. It was sad. And I had to realize that I have to walk my path. Only I can build a bridge that lets me cross into the next. And that's another thing too, contemplating the next. We're all going there. We don't know when. Nobody's promised tomorrow. We're promised the moment. We live in the moment. So understanding a type of spirituality, if one would call it that, or really being, understanding that we're going somewhere. We don't know where, but we're going there. And this is why I'm so serious on producing this book on human origins in the next few days. I've been editing it every day. And I said, I need to keep doing these streams at night to help people. So if we all were to do that, there's no time to go to a nightclub. Like you said, going out with friends to clubs is just a waste of time and money. And refraining from that is a very big part of the answer. That what we don't do is very important. And then what do we do with the time is we learn. We have a magical era that we live in. It's beautiful, the fact that we can go online. You can still go to the library. I still go there every once in a while. They do have stuff to research. But the fact that we can do it from home, people can do it from their phones, it's really a wonderful time. So these are just a few of the things we can do. And that's what I would recommend. I appreciate the question, man. And yeah, I'll add into that the more I think about it. And yeah, the social media pollution, we have to be careful about that. Yeah, so it's like, and underwear, yeah, we have to be very careful about what we wear, because this this thing that is behind society that actually may have created, had humans create everything. It's really something, man. And that researching ancient civilizations, human origins. This is why I think the book is so important, to know where we came from, to help us where we're going, to understand where we are right now is of utmost importance. It really is. I don't know if 97, if you got something, if you're there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, it's crazy that like, guys, years ago they'd have to dig all this stuff up and put in like books, and now it's like you have the access to it in your pocket, and you're not even taking advantage of that. Most guys are not, of the access to information there is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we have a supercomputer in our pocket. I like using the computer. It's easier. You have a screen to check. It is. And then the fact that that's one part of it, but the fact that we can connect with each other. So now you and I, X, everybody in the chat, other guys that come on, we can all share information. That makes it great. That's why I called it American Zombie, because we're the survivors in the zombie apocalypse. We can find each other and say, hey, can we share information? What did you find out? Here's what I found out. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is, man. This is where it's at, man. But I appreciate you coming on. Mr. X had to bounce. Everybody in the chat, man, thank you so much, bro, for a great show tonight. We'll do it again tomorrow night. I'm streaming every night. I'm trying to stream every night for as long as I can, man. And the book should be out soon. Few days, Christmas, like right around that time. I'm going to edit a little more tonight. And then tomorrow night I'll be streaming again, man. Or tonight, basically, because it is the 20th already over here in New York at 12:46 a.m. Thank you, everybody. Alexis, man, thank you, brother, for all the support and the questions, man. This is great. We'll speak again tonight. I would say around between 10 and 11 p.m. I'll go live. 97, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care, and we'll talk soon.
We'll talk